Yo, 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 what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So, before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So, shout out to everybody who is in the building early. It is good to see each and every one of you. If you guys can hear me okay and everything is looking good on the screen, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you cannot hear me or things are looking kind of bad, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. All right. Shout out to everybody who is in the building. I am going to shout out everyone who is here early. All right. We got Miss Nisi in the house. Shout out to Miss Nisi. We got TD Media Group in the building. Shout out to my man TD Media Group. Shout out to my man Carlton Way. We got Tedra Mitchell and we got Shatera. All right. It is good to see each and every one of you. All right. So before we get started, the first thing that I want to say is make sure that you are part of the Discord. That is important. All right. Join the Discord. All right. The link should be pinned in the chat, in the live chat. It should also be in the description box after the video. All right. Also, make sure that you are subscribed on Twitch and make sure that you are subscribed on Rumble. Very, 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 very important. All right. Also, make sure that you subscribe to the backup channels. All right. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. What's good with it, Brooklyn Queen? So we're going to get into some more of this interesting stuff that's going on with these mass deportations, quote unquote, migrants speaking out because a lot of people are running scared. You know what I'm saying? They ducking and hiding. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to TD, Big Homie 47 coming for him. You know what I'm saying? Big Homie 47 coming for him. But before we get into everybody running scared from Big Homie quote unquote 47, shout out to James Sumler. What's good with it, bro? We're gonna talk about your boy Brandon Johnson. All right, we're gonna talk about Trojan Head. All right, we're gonna talk about Trojan Tip Head. Mayor Brandon Johnson's ex-press director faced sexual harassment, misogyny, and racism complaints before firing. How many people knew about this? If you guys knew about this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not know about this, give me a thumbs down. So it's not getting any better for Brandon Johnson. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Brandon Johnson at this point, bro, you need to just go ahead and give it up. Just go ahead and give it up, man. Take your cell phone out the game. You know what I'm saying? Mayor Brandon Johnson's former communications director, Ronnie Reese, all right, was accused of sexual harassment, misogyny, racism, and other abusive behavior before he was terminated late last month, according to 3 internal complaints City Hall staffers filed against him. The alleged behavior ranged from unwanted physical contact to making disparaging comments about marginalized groups. Intimidation tactics, according to the complaints, were included in personal records the Tribune obtained this week via a Freedom of Information Act request. All right. So you see, they got this information straight from the FOIA. All right. And if they got this information from the FOIA, shout out to Greets. Greets says, salute. Now that Trump won as an FBA, I also want to end birthright citizenship. Hey, I ain't mad at it. But here go the thing with that, though, right? Being that Trump, quote unquote, is a, son of an immigrant or son of immigrants, he's probably going to talk all of that birthright citizenship ending stuff. I don't know if he'll actually do it or not. We'll see. What do you guys think? If you guys think that Trump will, quote unquote, end the birthright citizenship, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that he will, give me a thumbs down. What's funny about it is a lot of those people, except for us, they all have benefited from birthright citizenship. So, they'll say what's necessary to make their audience happy. They'll say what's necessary to get people to vote for them. And then after they secured the vote, after they secured everybody's support, then it's like, we're going to pull back on this a little bit. So we'll see. I want to see it. We'll see what Trump does. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says Reese indicated to staffers that he was untouchable and couldn't be fired. See, this is when when people start saying stuff like this. This is right when you about to have something happen to you right here. How many of y'all would agree? When people start getting like this and saying this kind of stuff, this kind of stuff right here, this kind of cockiness right here, This is right when stuff starts happening to you. Shout out to Hurricane. What's good with it, bro? One of the complaints started. The records show that Reese kept his job for months, even after a city human resource investigator notified the mayor's chief of staff, Christina Pacquion Zayas, of the formal complaints about Reese's alleged behavior. The accusations came 1 year after 3 press staffers were fired and then placed on the city's do not hire list, an unusually contentious and punitive move after they complained about how Reese and another top Johnson staffer treated him. So what's up with Brandon Johnson hiring all these militant people? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Miss Nisi. Miss Nisi said, question, is BLR2 gone for good? Remember, I'm old. Nah, it'll be back. It'll be back after a certain duration of time. It'll be back. Y'all will see. When it's back, I'll go live. You know what I'm saying? But until then, make sure you guys are subbed up to my backup channels, though. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said, Trump not a FWA. He ain't ending birthright citizenship. That's what I'm thinking, bro. That's what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Greets. Greets said, that's why I want to end it. It was supposed to only be for foundational Black Americans. Now they take advantage of it. Here go my question, though. How we're foundational Black American. We're all born here. We all originate from here, right? So I don't know how birthright citizenship could help us at all. I don't know how that would even apply to us. We're not immigrating to or from anywhere. So I don't even know how this. I know how making massive amounts of people citizens just out of the clear blue sky, I know how that affects us negatively, but I don't know how birthright citizenship would have one effect on us or another, because we're not really affected by quote unquote immigration law, except for when they use immigration law to they use immigration law through politicians that we vote for at an 80% rate to disenfranchise our own communities, and then we get upset about it. You know what I'm saying? But besides that, I don't know how that would work, though. Like I don't know how birthright citizenship would affect or not affect us, because we're freemen. We're already citizens. You know what I'm saying? We're not coming in or coming. I don't know how they would take away or make us quote unquote not a citizen. I don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? Even during the days of slavery, during the days of slavery, through being under the ownership, right? Being under the ownership of a plantation family or a plantation company, the government still wouldn't just be able to extract us and take us anywhere. So I don't know how that would apply to us per se. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how it would apply to us. Like I said, I know how it's definitely weaponized and used negatively, you know what I'm saying, to harm us, but I don't know how it would apply to us. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Al McCowan. What's good with it, bro? You know what I'm saying? Good to see you as always. All right. So now here it says the most recent issue appeared to come to a head this summer when one female staffer, who is unnamed in the personnel records, filed a written complaint to City Hall Human Resources about Reese's behavior with her and several staffers. All right. Now this is what TD saying about how Brandon Johnson is Emperor Brandon Johnson. He got all these goons that work for him. Y'all remember he had that goon that tried to stop that black lady from getting into the city council meeting to vote? And flamboyant Ray had to save her. Y'all remember that? Shout out to Tia. I appreciate you, Tia. If you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't remember that, give me a thumbs down. So now here it says, I'd like to begin by stating I was extremely reluctant to bring forward this complaint due to the hostile and retaliatory environment created by Reese, the female staffer wrote in one complaint, which referred to a one-on-one meeting in which she shared her concerns with Pacquion Zayas. I have personally experienced mistreatment by Reese in the form of sexual harassment, misogyny, exclusion, and unfair treatment. The increasing hostility in this environment has left me in constant fear for my job and for my well-being. She had her lawyer draft a nice little letter there. What do you guys think about that? Lawyer did a pretty good job at that one, didn't they? Shout out to Tedra. Nah, it's still there. It's still there. They trying though. It's still there. So, don't trip. It's still there. But just make sure y'all subbed up to everywhere else though, because it's gonna be on ice for a minute. It's gonna be on ice. And real quick, shout out to everybody, man. I appreciate y'all being here. If y'all haven't hit that like button yet, do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. All right. So now here says the wave of grievances sparked the July 31st meeting between members of the Reese team in the mayor's communication office and Pacquiao Zayas, who was notified of the complaints beforehand. According to one of the complaints, Reese did not attend the meeting. All right. Now, why do you guys think he didn't attend the meeting, which began with Pacquiao Zayas trying to assure the staffers they don't need to worry about retaliation because she said all firing and hiring goes through me. All right. But the records also show frustration with how Pacquiao and Zayas handled the meeting and their concerns. So it's just really kind of wild up there in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? They're not really doing a good job up there. All right. Shout out to Tedra. See, make sure y'all throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Tedra. She is subscribed to all the other channels. That's what's good. Because we definitely gonna be using them until until we get things straightened out. You know what I'm saying? The chief of staff began the discussion with blaming the previous administration for parking meters, for lack of infrastructure, and for no updated personnel handbooks, a complaint wrote, adding she felt the comments were unrelated to the group's concerns and a way to shift accountability. Pacquiao Zayas also repeatedly advocated for Reese's inclusion in the meeting about this matter and referenced peace circles, but the team was unanimously against his inclusion due to the shared fear of retaliation, according to the complaint. Now, my question for you guys is, why is Brandon Johnson hiring people like that? Why is Brandon Johnson hiring people like that? Yeah. Shout out to Miss Nisi. Miss Nisi said, FYI, Rob, I received an email from YouTube about membership, paused, but no channel name was given. Now I know. Yeah. So you know what that means? They stole my paycheck. You know what I'm saying? They stole my paycheck. You know what I'm saying? It's all good though. It's not all good, but it's gonna have to be. You know what I'm saying? She brought up restorative justice, quote unquote, a way of dealing with the staffers' concerns. But one member of the team pointed out that in order for, quote unquote, restorative justice to work, there has to be an ability and willingness for change, which the team does not see in Reese. The staffers wrote, the meeting did not result in any additional clarity or changes. Instead, Pacquiao Zayas agreed to request from the City Department of Human Resources to hold a coaching meeting with Reese to discuss the allegations, as well as to enroll him in 2 online training courses in August. Reese was notified in late October that he was being terminated, which took effect November 5th. He helmed the mayor's press office for a year and a half, as it saw significant staff turnover and had difficulty managing media relations. All right, so now let me ask you guys this question. What's going on? Shout out to Torian. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to AB Promotions. What's good with you? What's going on with Brandon Johnson and his administration over there? What's up with the staff? What's going on? In a statement he released on Tuesday, Reese denied all the accusations and said he never mistreated any staffers. I strongly and unequivocally deny any allegations of wrongdoing, Reese wrote. Throughout my career, I have carried myself with the utmost professionalism and respect for all of my peers, something to which many of my former colleagues at the city of Chicago and previous employers can attest. There are many, many others who know my character and who know the truth. I stand confident in that truth as I continue to prioritize my wife, my children, and the health of my family in the next chapter of my career. Let me ask you this question, man. Why is it when these dudes get caught, the first thing that they do is, I'm going to just be sitting up here taking care of my family? All I'm going to do is just sit here. I'm going to just sit up here and take care of my family. The first thing that happens anytime any of these dudes get exposed is they talk about their family. They talk about their family. You know what I'm saying? A long close friend of the mayor's, Reese, previously worked as a deputy press secretary for the Chicago Teachers Union before serving as press secretary for Johnson's winning 2023 mayoral campaign. Mayoral spokesperson Aaron Conley declined to comment when asked about Reese firing and the administration's handling of the complaints, citing a policy of not commenting on personnel issues, which is interesting, right? Now, again, let me ask you guys this question. Who voted for Brandon Johnson, and why did they vote for Brandon Johnson? Why did they do that? Why would they do that? The most wide-ranging complaint came from a staffer who accused Reese of making unwanted, inappropriate physical contact at an after-work party. Reese wrapped his arm around the woman and pressed his thigh and knee against hers, the complaint wrote. Nobody saw this happening? These kind of complaints are always interesting to me. You know what I'm saying? They're always interesting to me. He just got all up on you, put his knee all up in there for real? That's what happened? And what happened? It was a bunch of people around watching. You just said, no drinks was spilled or anything like that? I was severely uncomfortable and tried to make eye contact with those in the group so they would see the look of horror on my face and help, she wrote. You know what I'm saying? After Reese received questioning looks from others, he moved his arm and the woman slid away, though Reese spread his legs further to make contact again, according to the complaint. So he was trying to get her into some type of leg lock. Like Ludacris said, a figure four leg lock. Yeah. Shout out to Leonard. Yeah, he tried to thigh sauna her. You know what I'm saying? He tried to turn her TV on. You know what I'm saying? He tried to put an Oscar Myers in her snot box. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. He was trying to put the Pokey Kabasi in the hot box. Oh, they doing it crazy at the Chicago after work parties, man. You can't do it like that. Not if you're working in that type of position. That's a after hours stripper move right there. You know what I'm saying? That's an after hours move at the strip club. You can't do that at no professional setting. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. Reese pulled the woman in for a hug. He hit her like Scorpion. Get over here. As she left, and he told her, I love you. And later texted her complaints on her outfit. You was looking good last night, girl. You was looking really good up against my knee. You know what I'm saying? She probably said, gross. You know what I'm saying? Reese also would regularly walk out of his way to ask for the woman's photo ID to access the bathroom, a move that made her deeply uncomfortable. Yeah, I don't know. This is wild. This is some weirdo creep stuff. Weirdo creep stuff. You know what I'm saying? He also referred to her in the one-on-one settings with colleagues as dates. The complaint said in regular late night calls, he would call without a professional purpose to quote unquote check in, once adding that quote unquote he was in bed with his wife. It continues. Now, you know, he actually said this. He said this, I'm up here in bed with my wife. What you doing? Why do people do that? Girl, I'm in bed with my wife. What you doing? Who does it? You know what I'm saying? Who does it? You know? I'm in bed with my wife right now. She sleep. What you got on? Like, seriously? Bro, you a clown. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DSB, man. I appreciate you. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for DSB for funding the organization. Definitely appreciate it, bro.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
That's that old scent move, man. Who remember on the Twister album? Was that Twister? I think it was either Twister. It was either Twister or the Speed Knot Mobsters. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, yeah, and see right down there, right over there, that my wife, she stay right over there. And these young punks, these young hoods, they come here messing up the neighborhood. Y'all remember that? I think it was on that song. What was the name of that song? I can't think of the name of the song that little skit was in between, but this dude sound just like one of them type of cats. And my wife, she right over there, right down over there. But my wife stay over there. But these young punks, they coming in the hood. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says in another allegation, the same female staffer detailed Reese's treatment of women as especially harsh and incredibly misogynistic, which is ironic because, you know, Brandon Johnson said all this stuff about Trump, but then he turns around and hires this guy. Reese regularly disparaged female staffers in meetings and messages. All y'all need to listen to Kevin Samuels and sit y'all asses down. That's probably what he said. You know what I'm saying? She wrote, she began circumventing his disapproval by having male colleagues present the ideas to receive Reese's sign-off, which she said highlighted Reese's deeply misogynistic behavior. You know what I'm saying? It's funny how you talk like a boss when you're not. He texted her after she suggested he attend an event record show. The complaint section on the former communications director's misogynistic behavior also references a rant that a visibly riled up Reese made, referring to a Tribune reporter as so effing stupid, just so dumb. Oh, he hit him with the Antoine Dodson. The Chicago Tribune said, Mr. Reese, can we ask a couple questions? He said, mother,
so dumb. You are really dumb. For real. Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
He said, you dumb. You know what I'm saying? You effing dumb. You know, anybody got time to sit up here and talk to you and waste my time dealing with y'all? Y'all dumb.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real. Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Just dumb. Don't come up here asking me questions. Just dumb. You know what I'm saying? The complaint also alleged Reese made offensive comments that demonstrated homophobia. The cardinal sin. Anti-Semitism, fat phobia, and a general disregard for his staff. Large portions of the complaint, get this, are redacted. The staffer describes one disturbing incident in which Reese allegedly walked into her office, closed the doors, sat down, and without context said J's. She wrote, you know what I'm saying? She said J's. His inappropriate and anti-Semitic remarks left me feeling deeply uncomfortable. It must be nice when you can just simply say a group name and all of a sudden, you know, you get the hate crime protections. That's wild. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But apparently that's what happened right there. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Hurricane. Hurricane said, can you play Anton again, please? Absolutely. Make sure y'all show Hurricane some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Hurricane for funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
And shout out to Brandon Johnson for just being dumb. Just being dumb.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real. Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
I swear that's hilarious. That is hilarious.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real. Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Just dumb. Just dumb. For real. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, that's so funny, man. A different complaint alleged Reese asked an unspecific person, so the J's, and also demonstrated a pattern of anti-Latin behavior. Anti-Latin behavior. That's new. I don't know what that is. What is it? Does anybody know what anti-Latin behavior is? Somebody give me your best guess. And also shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate y'all. If y'all haven't hit that like button yet, do me a favor. Take a moment, hit that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. One complaint alleged a controversy from May in which Reese posted on X in 2010, I break for G Pride reluctantly. Reese later said he was only commenting on traffic caused by the parade in his then neighborhood of Uptown and has participated in the parade as a DJ in the past, according to Windy City Times. But the staffer alleged that behind the scenes, as news of his past posts spread, Reese told another employee, "I don't need to defend myself." Listen here now. He said, "I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to defend nothing I said or did." Other manners in which Reese is accused of contributing to a hostile workplace, including making fat-phobic comments about staff and their eating habits. All y'all do is just sit around here and suck on ribs all day and lick your damn fingers on the taxpayers' dollars. We got migrant shelters to put up, and y'all sitting around here buying top premium ribs and shrimp from Sarge's Smokehouse. Ain't nobody got time for that. Get back to work. You know what I'm saying? This Emperor Johnson's empire. And other demeaning nicknames such as Scary Smurf. Oh, he was calling people Smurfs, as captured in a text screenshot attached to the complaint. Oh, they got him on screenshot calling people Smurf. His career is over. His career is over. Shout out to John Guillory. What's good with it? What's good with it, bro? His career is over. You can't be calling people Smurfs out here. It's done. You know what I'm saying? That complaint also accused Reese of exclusion and unfair treatment. The former communications director picked favorites while arbitrarily taking other staffers off important assignments, the complaint said. And when he perceived someone in the workplace was working against him, he would label them as an op. Well, you know, Chicago is the home of where they talk about ops at, slang for opposition. Oh, they don't hire them. You see them over there? You see Anthony Beal and Ray Lopez over there? Them the ops, B. Them the ops. Shout out to Shatera. Shatera said he like this.
Just like a woman. That's because some of you niggas, you be acting just like a woman. I'm like a Reaper, keep it 1,000.
He said he's sitting up there at City Hall acting just like a woman, and he with it too.
He going along with the Fox shit. Don't touch me! I'm about to change on your ass! I'll beat your ass with my elbows! Werewolf style!
Where they be finding these clowns at, man? Shout out to John Guillory, man. Yo, I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. Make sure y'all show John some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for John for funding the organization and growing it. Definitely appreciate you, bro.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Definitely appreciate you. And shout out to Miss Niecy. Make sure y'all show Miss Niecy some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Miss Niecy for funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Definitely appreciate it. So now here it says, those labeled as ops are systematically left out of crucial emails and meetings, treated coldly, and have their roles reduced by Reese. Attempts by staffers to address these concerns would only make things worse, the complaint said. Ahead of the July 31st meeting between Pacquiao Zayas and Reese's staffers, he was accused of calling most of his employees to ask if they complained. So he was... This dude is literally doing everything you're not supposed to do if you're in management. Would you guys agree? If you guys would agree, this is everything that you're not supposed to do if you're a supervisor. Give me a thumbs up. If he doing the right thing, he doing it right. He doing what he's supposed to do. Then give me a thumbs down. All right. After the meeting, one of the complaints said Reese expressed to a coworker, "You just can't trust anyone," and he definitely couldn't. He definitely couldn't trust that coworker that he expressed that to, because they went on and told the Chicago Tribune about it. Right, exactly. This is what I'm saying. Shout out to Shatera. Shatera said you can't call the MF and ask if an MF complaint. Right, you can't do that. The complaint's supposed to be anonymous. And like that's basic. That's just basic HR. You know what I'm saying? That's just basic HR stuff. So now here it says Reese should be informed that he needs to treat all staff equally and not engage in misogynistic behavior. Avoid physical contact, including hugs with staff. Refrain from telling employees how to style themselves, and avoid referring to protected categories such as sexual orientation, race, national origin, and ancestry unless required as part of an official assignment. An equal opportunity employment officer with the city's human resources department wrote to Pakion Zayas on July 30th, a day before her meeting with Ronnie staffers. And this dude, his name is Ronnie. You know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Ronnie, Ricky, you know what I'm saying? You know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Following the meeting, Pakion Zayas informed the EEO officer on August 16th that I am continuing to carry out steps to address the complaints that include the online courses assigned by the investigator and a series of performance goals and outputs. The 3 recent complaints against Reese came a little under a year after the Tribune first reported on a City Hall cultural problem tied to the former communications director. In the summer of 2023. Now, how many people knew all of this was going on? If you guys knew all of this was going on with Brandon Johnson, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not know about this going on with Brandon Johnson, give me a thumbs down. Now, here's my question. All of this going on with Brandon Johnson, with your boy BJ, with Pinhead, right? Why did the mainstream media not talk about this at all? Do you guys notice that the mainstream media hasn't talked about many of these people at all? Like, in order to find out about a Brandon Johnson or Tiffany Henyard, you got to go on social media, and then the mainstream media will sit there and say, well, you know, these stories are not true. They're all false. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to John Guillory. I appreciate you, bro. Make sure y'all show John some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for John Guillory for funding the organization and growing the organization. Definitely appreciate it, bro.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the march of dimes.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Shatir said, sound like he was running like the Bad Girls Club, like the Bad Girls Club. Facts. You know what I'm saying? Sound like could have been House. Speaking of, you know what I'm saying, Drewski. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said it sound like people he would run with, though. It absolutely does. If y'all agree with Brooklyn Queen, throw some flames in the chat. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. I agree 100%. It definitely sounds like the type of people he would run with. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, the 3 recent complaints against Reese came a little under a year after the Tribune first reported on City Hall cultural problems tied to the former communications director. In summer of 2023, and I think we talked about this. No, actually we didn't. 3 press office staffers who worked under former Mayor Lori Lightfoot were fired and placed on the city's do not hire list in an unusually contentious move after filing a report against Reese and Jason Lee, Johnson's top advisors. Reese accused the staffers in a meeting of not working hard enough and laughing too much, but did not provide measurable feedback, according to a complaint one later made. In contrast, Ronnie would joke with male colleagues, it continued. Other human resources issues surfaced earlier this summer after press office staffer Tiernan Gordon was fired in June. According to emails obtained via a public records request, Gordon informed Reese that his house flooded and he would not be able to come to his office. And Reese probably said, "Listen here now, Gordon. Come here. Bring your long-haired ass over here now. I don't care if your house caught on fire. Matter of fact, I don't care if your black ass caught on fire. You better have your ass in that office at 8 o'clock prompt tomorrow morning, or else you can kiss your job goodbye." I guarantee you he told him that. How many of y'all think that he told him that? If y'all think that he told him that, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't think that he told him that, give him a thumbs down. And Gordon said, watch this, and turned around and called HR. You know what I'm saying? After a second flood that week, Gordon said he had to take the day off to clean up the mess. He was fired by Pakion Zayas days later, with records citing job abandonment as the reason. He abandoned his post. You know what I'm saying? My apartment started to flood again last night, and now again this morning with this rain, Gordon had texted Reese, according to records obtained by the Tribune show. I'm going to take the day off to deal with this mess and clean up. I will have my phone nearby if you need anything. All right. I mean, that don't sound unreasonable. You know what I'm saying? Gordon also shared a photo showing several inches of dirty water apparently inside of his home. Gordon wrote that Reese did not reply, and he heard from colleagues, not Reese, that he had been fired, according to the records. One of the complaints included in the most recent public records response appears to allude to Gordon's flooding troubles as well. Through redactions, the complaint wrote that Reese complained about an employee not coming to work. When staff told Reese the employee's house was severely flooded, Reese told them he was aware, the record stated. Far as I'm concerned, this is the team right here, he told them. Damn, that's cold, man. These are the type of people that Brandon Johnson worked with. These are the type of people that Brandon Johnson works with. And people are surprised. Why is anybody surprised about anything? Here's an even better question. Why did people vote for Brandon Johnson? Why did people vote for Brandon Johnson? Why did they do it? Why did they do it? So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about Mayor Wu. All right? We're going to talk about the Wu-Tang Clan. All right? Now, how many people heard about what Mayor Wu said about the quote-unquote potential sanctuary city remarks? You know, about how the mayors could get arrested for not participating in the mass deportations or not cooperating with the feds. How many people heard about that? Because all these mayors have been saying a bunch of different stuff. As Shatera said, Wu, W-U. You know, just like the Jizza, just like the RZA, just like Capadonna, just like Method Man, Inspector Deck.
Welcome into the final roundtable of a very eventful November. Democratic political analyst.
Shout out to AB Promotions. AB Promotions says she's from San Francisco. I would have said she's from Shaolin, son. You know what I'm saying? She's from Shaolin. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I'm pretty sure she's from Boston.
Marianne Martian, Republican political analyst, Rob Gray. It's great to see you guys.
All right. Here on OTR, we set off a firestorm last week on the issue of immigration and President-elect Trump's plans for mass deportation. Incoming Border Czar Tom Homan took issue with comments from Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, comments she made right here on our show. Here's how it played out.
All right, so real quick before we get into this, if y'all haven't hit that bell, take a moment, hit that bell. Also, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, do that. Make sure that you go and check out Twitch. All right. And also make sure that you're part of the Discord.
What will Boston's response be if these mass deportations take place?
Yeah, look, elections have consequences. What we can do is make sure that we are doing our part to protect our residents in every possible way, that we are not cooperating with those efforts that actually threaten the safety of everyone by causing widespread fear.
Well, she's not very smart, I'll give her that, because what I just said is President Trump's going to prioritize public safety threats. What mayor or governor doesn't want public safety threats out of their communities?
What's your response?
Look, people can say whatever they want about me. This isn't about me. Our public safety record speaks for itself. We are the safest city in America, the safest major city in America here in Boston.
Now, Governor Maura Healey also says Mass State Police will not be taking part in mass deportations. She did say violent criminals should be deported. Now, the Mass GOP says Boston should cooperate because measures proposed by President-elect Trump will keep Bostonians safe. Now, we don't know a lot about what these mass deportations will look like, but a lot is at stake here in Massachusetts. What do you think is going to happen here, Marianne?
So Tom Homan picks the mayor of Boston, who runs the safest city in America, who happens to be the daughter of immigrants, and attacks her, calls her names.
Look. Look at that.
Will look like, but a lot is at stake here in Massachusetts. What do you think is going to happen here, Marianne?
So Tom Homan picks the mayor of Boston, who runs the safest city in America, who happens to be the daughter of immigrants, and attacks her, calls her names, threatens her, all under the name of public safety. Seriously? Come on. Like, that is clearly, this is politics. This has nothing to do with public safety. And that's what it is in the end. And by the way, both in Boston and
shout out to my man Grover. What's good with you, bro?
Massachusetts, there are laws against this. So they don't have to cooperate. So good luck, Tom Homan.
What do you think?
Well, I think that Homan is hard-edged, but he's also a guy who has decades of experience in immigration enforcement under both parties, okay, Republicans and Democratic presidents. President Obama gave him an...
Now, here's my question for everybody. Who saw anything wrong with what Tom Homan said? If you saw or took issue with anything that Tom Homan said, then give me a thumbs up. If you did not take issue or see anything wrong with what Tom Homan said, then give me a thumb down. I didn't see anything wrong with what Tom Homan said. I do question somebody who, if the directives are aimed at maintaining public safety, and you know that there are certain issues with public safety in regards to what we're talking about here, and you say, I'm just not going to cooperate with this at all, that's kind of suspect to me. It's kind of weird. You're not really being objective with this thing.
Award in 2016 for his effectiveness in enforcing immigration. So he knows something. And let's face it, it's not just Michelle Wu. The entire state of Massachusetts has an open border, has a policy which is out of step with other states. We have a lot of illegal immigrants here. 3 were arrested this week in Massachusetts for child rape. So
in the last couple of weeks, but yes,
in the last couple of weeks, reported this week by ICE. So it's a serious issue, and I think Americans want strong enforcement.
If there's a warrant, yes, of course. And the example you cited.
Now, here again, every time we bring this up, I gotta just constantly, ask this question. We gotta constantly hit this point. But why is it that these particular types of crimes are the crimes that keep happening? Why is that? Does it make sense? Why is this particular kind of crime just continuously happening? Shout out to Cameron. What's good with it, bro?
We're all warrants, but this is more like for show, going to businesses, ripping people out of them, ripping people out of their homes and all that. And there's no place for that.
Well, listen, people voted for immigrants to be deported. I think the Trump administration is going to focus on the criminals first. Well, people in a lot of cities here, a lot of cities in Massachusetts went to Trump, and they have a problem with illegal immigrants living in the city. That's a lot of why Massachusetts was the 4th largest swing state to Trump from 2020 to 2024.
Picked up 5 points here in 4 years.
Yeah, he's still far behind, but people are fed up with some of this.
Next item, Elon Musk.
Right. And shout out to Cameron, right? Because Cameron said they act like this is human rights abuse. Facts. For one, not only do they act like it's human rights abuse, but the abuse that the victims of a lot of these people end up enduring as a result of the migrant crime waves, they don't even discuss that in terms of anything that needs to be dealt with or accounted for. Which is, if you ask me, that is very concerning. You know what I'm saying? That's very concerning.
Who has taken on the role of Trump enforcer, accused sanctuary cities of protecting child rapists. He praised ICE for making arrests here in Massachusetts. We were just talking about that, and said politicians should be recalled immediately for not cracking down. He is the richest man in the world. Trump will soon be the most powerful man in the world.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. When do you all think that Elon Musk is going to run for president of the United States? Or do you guys think that it's going to happen or not? Let me know.
They're appearing everywhere together. Matt Gaetz took himself out of the running for AG, but Musk is reportedly set to target any GOP members of Congress who vote against any Trump appointees by bankrolling primary challengers. Will that type of intimidation work, Rob?
Listen, Musk spent $200 million on a super PAC supporting.
Do you guys see the value chain? You guys... How long? Look, do you guys see the value chain? If you guys see the value chain, throw them chains in the chat. If you don't see the value chain, maybe the people in the chat can help you out. But more than likely, if you in the chat, you already know about the value chain, and this is what I'm talking about right here. This is what I'm talking about.
Trump. So he's willing to put up the money. So I think you have to take it as a real threat. However, the GOP advantage in the Senate is 53-47. Trump needs those Republican senators, whether he likes it or not. He's going to take out Susan Collins of Maine as a liberal Republican in a primary. Elon Musk is. Well, guess what's going to happen? The Republican candidate's going to then lose the Democratic election, and Trump's advantage in the Senate is going to be down. So I don't. It's a threat, but it would be a dumb threat.
Bark worse than the bite.
So here's the real point. Musk wants to be oligarch number one, and anything gets in his way, he is going to go after. So remember, he is only a billionaire on the backs of federal subsidies. SpaceX got $15.4 billion. Tesla got $2.
Oh, look, she said the quiet part out loud. She said the quiet part out loud. She said the quiet part out loud. How many of y'all agree with what she said? If y'all agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
It's a threat, but it would be a dumb threat.
Bark worse than the bite.
So here's the real point. Musk wants to be oligarch number one, and anything gets in his way, he is going to go after. So remember, he is only a billionaire on the backs of federal subsidies. SpaceX got $15.4 billion. Tesla got $2.7 billion. He's a billionaire off the backs of everyone. He will then go in and his little committee, strip out trillions of dollars, say the government shouldn't be in these businesses, and then make them his business. Last point. He 2 weeks ago said that they should end the EV subsidy.
Value chain. See how the self funneling of money goes. If you guys see how that self funneling of the money goes, then throw some money bags in the chat. If you don't, then we're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna keep getting there till people see it. All right. And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate y'all. We got 26 people watching and we got 31 likes. Let's try to get the likes to 50.
Which is $7,500 for all and EV companies. Guess who's the only EV company that will be left standing? Tesla.
Congresswoman Catherine Clark reelected as House Whip for Democrats, but it did come with a bit of grousing from some of the more purple state members of the minority party, the progressive tilt of the Massachusetts delegation rubbing some the wrong way. Is Bay State Blue fading in influence after this election, Rob?
Well, here's the thing with Catherine Clark. She voted with Joe Biden 100% of the time. 65% of the country thinks it's on the wrong track. 58% of the country disapproves with the job Biden is doing. So she's out of step with the country. I think she's also out of step with a lot of Massachusetts voters. Our delegation is far, far left of your average state's delegation.
What do you think, Marianne?
Did they say that about Hakeem Jeffries from New York City or Pete Aguilar or Ted Lieu from California? I think not. Massachusetts only has 9 members of Congress. 3 of them are in leadership. 2 more are ranking members on the most important committees, Rules and Ways and Means, and 2 others are subcommittee ranking. So we punch above our weight, but that's more politics and sour grapes than it is anything else.
We continue on the record. Stay with us.
All right, so there's that. I thought that was pretty interesting. All right, I thought that was pretty interesting. So next, what we're gonna do is we are gonna take a listen. Right, hold on real quick. Let me see something. We're gonna take a look. We're gonna take a listen to some things. We're gonna definitely take a listen to some things. There's so much going on with all of this stuff, y'all. It is so difficult to keep up with. It is so difficult to keep up with. Let's see. Hold on. Sorry about that. Let's see. My computer acting kind of funny. Shout out to you. I think I know who this is. That's hilarious. Shout out shout out to YG. We're gonna call you YG, bro. Shout out. Oh man, shout out to YG. YG said it looked like her breast thing. Yeah, bro, it looked like she unwraps a Snickers bar with a turd in it and takes a bite out of it, and then it get all up in your face and blow her breath all in your face, like just making wind with letters where there's no wind. That like, wow, you doing today? And you like, damn, it smell like you just took a tall cup of toilet water. You know what I'm saying? Can you back up a little bit, please? Oh man, I'm dead.
Border Czar Tom Homan will visit the Texas border with Governor Greg Abbott. This comes as shocking video shows an unaccompanied migrant child as young as 2 years old traveling into the U.S. alone with just a piece of paper.
Venezuela, mama. Venezuela. See?
Now we talked about this yesterday, and again, you know, I had to rant about this yesterday because, like, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm a true believer that this right here is an actual real thing right here. Like, I don't know. How many of you guys believe this story? If you guys believe this story, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, give me a thumbs down.
¿Cuántos años tienes? ¿Dos años? ¿No vienes con tu mamá y tu papá? ¿No? ¿Venezuela? ¿Para dónde vas, mamá? ¿Dónde están? Estados Unidos?
Wow. Tom Homan joins us now. Hey, Tom, that's a story new to most of America, but not new to you, is it?
No, I've been talking about this for 4.
Hey, you know what, Tom? Do you know Tom Homan cracked me up? Tom Homan remind me of Mike Ehrmantraut on on Breaking Bad. Tom Homan remind me of Mike Ehrmantraut on Breaking Bad. What if they keep coming over the border? Well, Walter, we're gonna do what the boss told us to do. We're gonna get rid of them, Walter. Y'all, how many of y'all remember Mike Ehrmantraut? If y'all remember Mike Ehrmantraut, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, give me a thumbs down. I swear Mike Homan remind me of Mike Ehrmantraut. What are we going to do with the cartel? We're going to go down to the border, Walter. We're going to seal it off. We're going to take care of it. And then you're going to get back to work. Because the boss said so. You understand, Walter? I swear this dude remind me of Mike.
Is it?
No, I've been talking about this for 4 years, about the inhumanity of that border, about how many children die, whether in the desert or in the river. Since Joe Biden's been president, we got nearly 4,000 aliens have died.
They sitting there having a conversation. Why did we lose? Well, Kamala, Joe. Let me tell you a story. I remember this time when I was a beat cop, working the beat in Philadelphia. And I was driving down the street and I saw a guy robbing another guy, and I was working the beat. So it wasn't part of my jurisdiction. I kind of drove past it, Walter. I was supposed to be meeting a young lady for a date. I get to the restaurant, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. She never shows up. I figured, hey, you know, maybe she just left me high and dry. So I go to the bar, I order a drink, and I look up on the TV screen, and that same piece of shit, Walter, that I drove past, he took her out. He took my date out. Didn't take her out to eat. He took her out. She's gone. Dead. Parents crying. Yellow tape all over the place. You know what I learned from that, Walter? When it comes to these migrants, when it comes to the border, no half measures. No half measures, Walter. I'll be here tomorrow. I swear this dude remind me of Mike.
Crossing this border. Children die almost every day.
Shout out to Jesse. What's good with it, bro?
31% of women that make that journey get sexually assaulted. And this administration has been hiding it. This is something we're going to address. We're going to show the American people exactly what we're doing on the border and why we need to do it. And this is one clear example why we need to secure that border.
So, Tom, there's other 2-year-olds being held.
Hey, look, Mike was my favorite. Mike was my favorite character on Breaking Bad. When Jesse and that girl had overdosed, and he instead of giving Jesse the Heimlich maneuver when Jesse was remember when Jesse was overdosing and Mike Ehrmantraut just grabbed him and slapped the dog shit out of him. That was hilarious. At that moment, Mike was my favorite character. I was dying laughing. I'm like, that's not usually how that works, but I guess it works this time. I guess it worked this time. Usually, you do the Heimlich, you know what I'm saying? Make sure that the airway is clear. Mike just, you know what I'm saying, grabbed him up by his collar and slapped the shit out of him. And, you know what I'm saying, that took care of everything.
Held right now. And because in a rush to get them out, they're giving them to strangers who show up and say, I'm the sponsor, I'm the relative. How do you stop that? I mean, what do you do with the children? How do you stop the income and the incoming kids?
Well, first of all, shame on the Biden administration and Becerra, who's the secretary of HHS. He was on stage about 2 months ago bragging how quick these children are released from government custody. He thought it was a good thing. Well, they're released because you're not properly vetting the sponsors. They stopped the DNA testing. Shame on.
Now, do you guys remember when we were talking about the sponsors? Remember with the CBP1 app, I was asking people because other people who are not documented somehow are able to be sponsors as well, which is wild, right? Because think about this, like usually, you know, you have to at least fit a certain amount of the criteria that you're sponsoring someone to try to achieve, right? Like someone who's undocumented being a sponsor of another undocumented person, that's like saying it's safe for somebody with a temporary driver's license to drive with the supervision of another person with a temporary driver's license. It doesn't make any sense. If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it don't make any sense, give me a thumbs down.
And then that's why they have over 300,000 children that they released to unvetted sponsors that they can't find. And President Trump is committed, in addition to securing the border and having a deportation operation, is to find and locate these 300,000 children, because many of them are going to be in forced labor. Many of them in forced sex trade. We need to save these children. How do we stop it? We secure the border. We send a strong message to the rest of the world. If you cross this border illegally, you're going to be deported. You're going to be detained. You're not going to be released. Children won't be delivered to their parents and to complete their criminal conspiracy of alien smuggling. We got to put a stop to it.
So today you're going to be at the board with Governor Abbott. What's the objective?
Well, we're not waiting to January 20th. We're already planning what we're going to do to lock down the state of Texas. Governor Abbott's done a great job so far. Look,
now we're gonna talk about this more, right? Because what he said was very important. What he said was that we're not gonna wait. We're gonna start now, and a lot of this stuff is going to quote unquote come through Texas. So we're gonna be taking a lot of looks. We're gonna be taking a lot of looks at what goes on in Texas. All right, because Texas is gonna be a key part of this thing.
Illegal crossings in Texas is down over 80% because of great work by Governor Abbott. And he's been successful because he has taken the Trump policies and put them to work. He's put border barriers and walls up. Walls work. President Trump proved that. He has consequences. He's arresting people and charging them that cross the border. Consequences work. So and everybody he arrests, every illegal alien the troopers arrest is one less getaway. So at least they know they're being fingerprinted and they're not a national security threat. Every ounce of fentanyl his trooper sees is less of overdose deaths in this country. So we're going to build upon his success. I guarantee you the Trump administration isn't going to constantly sue him for trying to secure the border. We're going to partner up and help him do 100% security on his border, and we're going to do that across the southwest border.
They are building a wall in Texas. They bought the land and they're building a wall. Is this wall going to be up to your standard? Is that what these states have to do? Well, look, if you want to secure the border, you got to put up border barriers. We've proven border barriers work.
You also got to end catch and release. We got to put the Remain in Mexico program back in. You got the third safe country agreements. We got, Congress needs to change the asylum laws, but I'm not counting that to happen. So President Trump's going to have to come in with executive orders like he did the first time. President Trump was a game changer with Remain in Mexico. He had the lowest illegal immigration over 45 years. Illegal immigration down 90%. And Brian, the example of this 2-year-old, when 90% less people are coming, how many children are dying crossing that border? How many children and women ain't sexually assaulted? So look, President Trump's policies work. We're going to do it again. This time we're going to finish the job.
Tom, you know to do the job better than anybody. But if we could see those stories, and the only reason we saw it because the Texas DPS said, we'll blur the faces, hide the identity, but I want to show you what we're dealing with. If we could see those stories, I think that people would understand really what you're up against. Do you plan on doing it? The 3-year-old that comes across, the unaccompanied 8-year-old that comes across?
As tragic and as sad as those things are, we have to show the American people. We got to be transparent and show the American people why we need to secure the border. It's about saving lives. Bottom line, it's about saving lives. And I'm sick and tired of my 34 years of holding dying children, holding dead children, talking to girls as young as 9 that were raped multiple times. And I've said it before, everything innocent and pure within that little girl was ripped from her, and she will never be the same. We're going to tell the story. American people need to know the story. And I think by telling that story, President Trump have the support of the American people across the board.
We'll watch you and the governor at the border today, and we got to understand what we're in for in the next, while we wait 55 more days. Tom Homan, thanks so much.
All right, so there's that, right? So now, speaking of the quote-unquote 2-year-olds and speaking of the quote-unquote kids, you will never believe this, right? You will never believe this. Do you guys remember that 2-year-old? They actually talked about that 2-year-old in the video here. They allegedly found her mother. Yeah. They found her mother. So let's see what her mother has to say.
Alone at the border. I found a coyote and I paid for them to bring her to me. She came alone. It was just the coyote. The last time I talked to my daughter was Saturday.
A 4-year-old girl from Honduras making her way alone across.
Now she's 4, because remember before she was 2, but apparently now she's 4. Right. And again, they'll try to say that this is missing disinformation. We got all the videos up, but you guys see what they do. You guys see what they do with the videos. You know what I'm saying? When they don't like something, they try to get rid of it. Right. But we got it. And as you can see here, the girl has changed. Remember, I told you there was no way that a 2-year-old was capable of all this. So they've now changed the age to 4. And apparently they've got a recording, or they've got a phone call where they're speaking with the kid's mother. So let's take a look at this and see what's going on with it. And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell. And also, please share this stream to your social media. We got 28 people watching. We got 35 likes. Let's try to get the likes to 60.
Was your daughter alone at the border? I found a coyote and I paid for them to bring her to me. She came alone. It was just the coyote. The last time I talked to my daughter was Saturday.
A 4-year-old girl from Honduras making her way alone across the southern border. Authorities in Maverick County, Texas, raising the alarm on situations like this amid an uptick of unaccompanied minors crossing at the southern border. Authorities there encountered 100 children since Sunday, including that 4-year-old. She is one of nearly 300,000 minors who have been smuggled over the border without their families. News Nation's Jorge Ventura joins us with this exclusive interview talking to the toddler's mother. Why did she send her in the first place, and how did you find her?
This is my question. What kind of parent would send their child out into the, just out into the elements alone at that age, regardless if it's 4 or 2? I mean, that don't make it any better, right? You know what I'm saying? Being at the child is what? 4 years old. That doesn't make anything any better anywhere. Think about that. That's crazy. Who would do it?
Well, Marty, it was a truly heartbreaking scene, as you can see, when Texas DPS made that encounter with her. And that story really touched millions of Americans. Now, the little girl did have a note with her when she was encountered by Texas DPS with a phone number and a name. I was able to make contact with a woman who claims to be her mother, who is already in the United States. She tells me about the dangerous journey and risk that she put her own daughter through by placing her in the hands of criminal smugglers in Honduras and in Mexico.
Venezuela, mama.
Why again, and I don't understand this. Why would you let criminals have any kind of custody whatsoever over your child? I could never do it. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I'm saying?
Venezuela? See?
A little girl, just 4 years old, smuggled across the border all alone, carrying nothing but a scrap of paper with a phone number and the name Mama Patty.
¿No vienes con tu mamá y tu papá? ¿No? ¿Venezuela? ¿Para dónde vas, mamá? ¿Dónde están?
The little girl claims her parents are already in the United States. We decided to call Mama Patty and find out why her mother left her toddler alone in the hands of human smugglers in Mexico. Patty was very emotional when I asked about her daughter. She tells me that U.S. Border Patrol officials notified her that they have her daughter in custody.
Why was your daughter alone at the border?
I found a coyote and I paid for them to bring her to me. She came alone. It was just the coyote. The last time I talked to my daughter was Saturday, and I haven't heard anything since. They told me that the coyote had already handed her over to another coyote, but I don't know anything else about her.
Now, mind you, this individual, this woman, she paid for this, right? She had no way of verifying any of this stuff. And honestly, when it comes to News Nation, the question that we got to ask News Nation is, how can News Nation verify with any degree of certainty that this individual on the phone call is actually indeed this girl's mom? And I'm not trying to be funny, man, but if this is this girl's mom, I don't know how I feel about there being more parents in the United States who are this reckless with their children. I think that this is pretty cringe.
And man, how much did you pay for her?
Well, normally they charge $4,500 from Honduras.
Patty admits to me over the phone that she paid human smugglers in Honduras and Mexico to smuggle her 4-year-old daughter into the United States. Patty says she was unfamiliar with the smugglers who were responsible for her daughter and that they stopped answering her calls the closer her daughter was to the U.S. border. Did you know the coyotes or not?
No, I don't know anything about them.
So if you don't know them, why? Let me ask y'all this: how many of you all would be safe paying somebody to maintain safety and transportation of your child that you don't know, but the only thing that you do know about them is that they're a criminal? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. That's kind of wild, kind of crazy.
$1,500 from Honduras.
Patty admits to me over the phone that she paid human smugglers in Honduras and Mexico to smuggle her 4-year-old daughter into the United States. Patty says she was unfamiliar with the smugglers who were responsible for her daughter and that they stopped answering her calls the closer her daughter was to the U.S. border. Did you know the coyotes or not?
And that's because, of course, they're criminals. They're going to threaten you. They're going to extort you. They're going to make you pay more the closer that they are, because they know that you love your child and they know that you fear never seeing your child again. They know that you're irrational and they know that they're going to be able to get the maximum amount of money out of you. This is, you know what I'm saying? But again, how naive do you have to be to knowingly put your child in this situation? Who would do it? Who would do this? If you in the comment section, if there's anybody in the comment section that would do this or move like this, give me a thumbs up. If you wouldn't do this, or you would not move like this, then give me a thumbs down. I don't think that most normal people would do this. You know what I'm saying?
But I don't know anything else about her.
And man, how much did you pay for her?
Well, normally they charge $4,500 from Honduras.
Patty admits to me over the phone that she paid human smugglers in Honduras and Mexico to smuggle her 4-year-old daughter into the United States. Patty says she was unfamiliar with the smugglers who were responsible for her daughter and that they stopped answering her calls the closer her daughter was to the U.S. border. Did you know the coyotes or not?
No, I don't know anything about them. I had one of their numbers, but they're not answering me. They told me they were done with their job, delivering my daughter to immigration.
Patty says she's very happy to hear the news that her daughter is now.
I could have told you that. We all could have told you that. We all could have told you that. Shout out to AB Promotions. Make sure y'all show AB Promotions some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man AB Promotions.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
AB Promotions said that parents that do this, they just dumb. They just really dumb, for real.
So dumb. You are really dumb, for real. Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
Seriously.
So dumb. You are really dumb, for real. Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
Yo, that's facts. That's facts.
In the United States and is waiting for federal officials to release her daughter to her in South Carolina. But these scenes of young children traveling alone on the border are becoming the new normal.
All she had was a little piece of paper with a first name and a phone number.
And I spoke with the Texas Trooper Sergeant Cordova, who made that encounter with that little girl. When I asked Cordova why he felt it was important to share that moment, he says that as a father, it immediately reminded him of his own kids. He did not understand how a parent could place their own daughter, young as 4 years old, in the hands of smugglers. He felt that moment was important to share with millions of Americans so they could grasp the true reality of what happens every day here on the southern border, Marnie. Truly just heartbreaking story.
Yeah, and just one example of many that are happening. That little girl among them. I'm curious why her mom was here without her in the first place, but also what's the status of her right now? Have you heard anything, and how soon they may be reunited?
So according to the mom, Marnie, she says that she was previously deported with her daughter after making the trip from Honduras. So then
these people were so again, as you can see, look, these people were already deported. They were already deported.
Came alone with a smuggler. He then saved enough money in the United States to then pay criminal smugglers in Honduras and Mexico to then bring her daughter. She tells me that on Sunday, U.S. Border Patrol officials did contact her to let her know that they have her daughter in custody. She says as of right now, it still remains unclear when her daughter will be released to her. We'll continue, Marnie, to stay on top of the story and follow up and also check on the status. The good news is when I spoke with Sergeant Cordova, he said he did not see any signs of abuse on the little girl.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find news.
I mean, I hate to say, but like, you know, yeah. What do you say about this? What do you say about this? Now, I want to show you guys. There's a video. There's a video on Fox News. All right. And this video says that Trump's new quote unquote border policy will save people money. All right. They say that this is going to be a money saver. Now, I want to ask you guys, how many of you all actually think that this will save money? If you guys think that this will save money, give me a thumbs up. If you guys do not think that it'll save money, then give me a thumbs down and let me know why or why not. I'm curious. Now, you know, there's been a lot of talk about how the migrant crisis affects the quote unquote housing costs and all of these different conversations, but we really need to get some real actual breakdown and information to see exactly what type of figures we're working with here.
Welcome back. President-elect Donald Trump has vowed to get right to work when he returns to the White House on January 20th. With the economy and immigration his two top priorities. Trump is expected to issue executive orders to secure the border and tap into America's energy capacity to lower oil prices, spark economic growth, and rein in inflation that has seen the cost of basic essentials skyrocket under the Biden-Harris administration, while enacting mass deportation to remove the millions of people illegally living in America. Joining me now are former acting ICE Director Tom Homan and Key Square Capital Management CEO and founder Scott Bessent. Gentlemen, great to have you both with us. We so appreciate the both of you. We are expecting you both to have a role in the upcoming Trump administration next year. So Tom Homan, let me kick it off with you. What are the plans for deportation? You heard what President Trump told me in that interview a couple of months ago.
With this quote unquote plan for deportation, this plan for mass deportation, we're going to be detailing this quote unquote mass deportation plan at length, ad nauseum, seeing what parts of it get done, what parts of it don't get done, how much it end up costing, if it turns out to be a good idea or it turns out to be bad. We're going to take a whole deep dive and a whole deep look at it. And we're also going to try to see how much money is generated versus how much money is not generated. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How much Tesla technology do you all think will go into the tech aspect of the logistics of this mass deportation operation? Who's going to be doing the Wi-Fi and the GPS and telecommunications and setting up all the networks for all of the communication, quote unquote, for the military, quote unquote, that'll be doing this mass deportation? Shout out to Deformed Pretty Boy. Deformed Pretty Boy says the robots for sure. Yeah, I agree. If you guys agree with Deformed Pretty Boy, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Says it's got to be done. How do you round up 10 million
Shout
people?
out to AW1. What's good with it, bro?
Well, look, I agree with the president's plan on this, and the same plan he had during his first administration. You concentrate on the public safety threats and the national security threats first, because they're the worst of the worst. So it's going to be the worst first. That's how it has to be done. And we know a record number of people on the terrorist watch list have crossed this border. We know a record number of terrorists have been released in this country. We've already arrested some planning attacks. So look, the president is dead on when he says criminal threats, national security threats are going to be prioritized, and that's the way it's going to be.
Scott Bessent, the Wall Street Journal this morning is writing about the cost of this deportation, and it's going to be hefty. So you've got the cost of rounding up people who may have committed crimes for deportation at a time that President Trump wants to have no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. How will we afford all of this?
Well, Maria, first of all, let's talk about the human cost. We have 100,000 fentanyl deaths a year because of the porous border. We have the increased crime. We have the underlying fear that the American people have. You can't put a price on that. But you know, I'll tell you, too, that what we are going to do here, Donald Trump has staged the biggest political comeback in history. And I think that we are on the verge of a golden age in the economy for the next 4 years, where we can have a growth agenda, where we deregulate, get energy prices down, and get interest rates down, and that will drive growth like we have not seen for years. And you know, the cost of this deportation will be a rounding error, but I keep going back to the human cost, and you can't put a price on that.
Well, one of the things that he has said he wants to do is re-implement his Remain in Mexico policy. Tom, tell me about that. That requires asylum seekers to stay in Mexico while their cases are processed. Your thoughts on how important that will be? And again, same question for you, the cost of deportation.
Well, first of all, cost of deportation, this President Trump's plan is going to be a cost savings to the American people, because this administration is paying for free airline tickets all over the country, free hotel rooms at $500 a night, free education, free medical care, and that's in perpetuity. What President Trump's plan is going to do is, over time, is going to save the taxpayers money and put an end to this foolishness. They're paying $500 a night for a hotel room in New York City. Meanwhile, there's empty ice beds at $127 a night. So President Trump's plan is going to save the taxpayers money over time. And as far as the Remain in Mexico program, look, I worked for 6 presidents. Start with Ronald Reagan. Every president I worked for took steps to try to secure the border. No one did more than President Trump. His success was unprecedented. And when he came up with the Remain in Mexico program, that was an outstanding idea, because that stopped people from coming. People can still claim asylum, but they're going to wait in Mexico. But once the word got out that they weren't going to be released, they stopped coming. When they stopped coming, women aren't being raped by the cartels. Children aren't drowning in the river. The cartels aren't making money. So President Trump's policy to Remain in Mexico, not only a game changer, moved it to an historic low of illegal immigration, it saved thousands of lives.
Well, I mean, look, practically speaking, who's going to do it? Are you envisioning military troops throughout the country rounding people up? Tell me how it's going to be done in a practical sense.
First of all, I'm going to make one thing clear. I read a piece this morning, I think Daily Caller, somebody said, Tom Homan says the military is going to go out rounding up and arresting illegal aliens. Never said that. Never said that my entire life or my career. So that was a ridiculous thing I just read in the paper this morning. It's going to be a well-targeted, planned operation conducted, led by the men of ICE. The men and women of ICE do this daily. They're good at it. They're all got Fourth Amendment training. They know what they can and cannot do legally. And it's a well-targeted. When we go out there, we're going to know who we're looking for. We most likely know where they're going to be, and it's will be done in a humane manner. I keep reading stories about concentration camps. ICE has high detention standards in the industry, and so these people will be well taken care of. It'll be a humane operation.
Now, I got a question for you guys. With them talking about the quote-unquote concentration camps, this talk of quote-unquote concentration camps and all of this, all these camps and all this stuff, right? Isn't it arguable to say that if we're going to be calling things quote-unquote camps, that these quote-unquote ICE detention centers have been around forever, and that they have to have these things in order for people to be detained for them if they have committed a crime coming into the country to be processed through the immigration court. Isn't that if that's a true statement, give me a thumbs up. If that's not true, give me a thumbs down.
It's a necessary mass deportation operation.
Scott Bessent, are tariffs going to pay for this partly? How worried are you about this uproar over strategic tariffs, is how President Trump has stated it?
Now, on another channel, right, we're going to be going into tariffs. We're going to be talking about the quote unquote tariffs. All right. We're going to be talking about all this stuff. All right. There's been a lot of information and a lot of talk coming out about the tariffs. We're going to examine them. We're going to take a look at them. We're going to see what they might do versus what they might not do, how effective they may be versus how effective they may not be, and what the purpose of them is. All right. Now, we're not going to talk about them here on Undocumented, but we're going to definitely talk about them.
Well, Maria, first of all, to go back to Tom's point, I think in a Trump 2.0, you are going to see an all-of-government coordination like you have never seen before. Everyone in the administration is going to be aligned, just as you saw with Senator Rick Scott. So, I think that there will be a lot of voluntary deportations. I've been working on a plan for financial deportation that could restrict the flow of funds in terms of remittances. And so I think this is going to be an all-government effort.
Okay.
In terms of the tariffs, I think the tariffs have been mischaracterized. They're a one-time price increase, and nobody knows how to use these tariffs like President Trump, both for revenue and negotiating.
Okay.
So there's that. All right. So I think that's interesting. All right. So now, next, what we're gonna do? Is we're gonna talk about. Shout out to PD. What's good with it, bro? We're going to talk about what some of the quote-unquote progressive quote-unquote mayors have been saying. All right? Because there's been a lot of mis and disinformation. And, of course, you're not going to get the actual information from the mainstream media. So we got to piece it together for ourselves.
Fear the complete closure of the border is imminent. That's what he promises. And this is stirring fears that there could be a huge wave, a caravan, which actually is approaching the United States as we speak. Joining me right now to discuss all this, retired Chief Patrol Agent Chris Clem. Thank you so much for being with us. A lot of Americans were in support of deportations, especially the criminals, the violent criminals, rapists, drug dealers, cartel members, Tren Aragua gang members, the list goes on. But there are some who want more compassion. And the fact that the pictures of people
again, here's my question, right? I get compassion, but when you're talking about dealing with quote unquote people like Tren Aragua and stuff like that, why is there any kind of conversations about any type of compassion even being had? You know what I mean? Like, does it make sense?
Gathered up or herded, those optics could be very difficult to watch for any American with a heart. So should that be something that this particular administration should try to target or deal with as a concern, or should they care?
Well, thanks for having me on. This is an important topic, but look, we made it very clear, and I know that Tom Homan has made it very clear that the strategy is national security threats and public safety threats, just like that list of criminals you mentioned. That's the focus. That's where the American public, really agrees with the president-elect and his plan. We secure the border. Meanwhile, we go after these bad actors that are already in the United States. That is something that, everybody should be getting behind. And it is reckless. It is emotionally, intellectually immature when these mayors and governors are planning to resist. I mean, look, they really can't do anything about it. They can just kind of be a nuisance, because I can guarantee you ICE and Border Patrol and the CBP officers, they're going to do what the president wants to do, secure the border and then go after these bad guys.
Border Patrol agents obviously making a number of arrests of gang members who are known to be from other countries who came into the United States. We see a spike in 2019, another spike in 2022. Why do you think it is that some Americans, including some of these leaders, are opposed to stricter immigration laws? Could they be protecting someone they know who's affected? Is it that they...
See, I mean, look at this. Look at this. Gang member arrest per year. Look at that. Look, 18th Street, MS-13, Paces, Serranos, Tren Aragua. Look at how high Tren Aragua is. Look at that. The data speaks for itself. The data speaks for itself.
They just believe blindly that we should just take everyone in and everyone can be changed, can become a new person.
Well, I got to believe it's the latter, because they shouldn't be. They're intelligent people, but they're virtue signaling, because they've got supporters that are open border and immigration advocates that really support, especially these left-leaning progressive mayors and governors. Look, this is about national security and public safety. We've seen it play out.
And we know that Brandon Johnson is one of the main ones. If you guys would agree that Brandon Johnson is one of the main ones, throw some clown faces in the chat. This is one of the reasons why that budget is at $1 billion in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shout out to Shatera. Facts. Shatera said, I knew them MFs emptied out prisons. I've been said that. Facts. Facts. And shout out to people that are new to the channel. Just go watch the old live streams. We've been, you know what I'm saying? We've been talking about this stuff over here forever, as far as the emptying out the prisons and all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Way too much over the last 4 years, all the heinous crimes. They need to get behind and cooperate with the federal government and make sure that we're going after the people that we target. Could there be some collateral damage, people that maybe shouldn't have been picked up? But you know what? If they're here in the country illegally, they're a risk. But this idea that, people are going to start knocking down doors and going into quinceañeras and schools, that's ridiculous. We've never done that before. Why would we do it again? We've run these operations for a long time. Now we've got an administration that's coming and saying, hey, we're going to back the men and women of immigration enforcement and do something that the American people are behind. But we shouldn't be fear-mongering. We should actually be cooperating with the federal government. And these governors and mayors need to stop virtual signaling and actually protect their citizens from the ones that are going to do their harm.
It's interesting, and I've listened to several of them. It's about residents. They say we're protecting our residents, and that could mean someone who's here illegally. What penalty would they face if they don't assist in these efforts or just defy those efforts by the federal government?
How they always say immigration is a federal issue. And now that you have a federal government coming in that's going to enforce the law, now they have an issue with the federal government. There's not much they can do when it comes down to illegal immigration. They can put up some hurdles and some roadblocks by not cooperating. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a new attorney general. There's going to be new U.S. attorneys. So if they are actively resisting, if they're harboring and they're interfering with federal operations, they run a risk of criminal prosecution. And I'm sure some will try to, be the martyr and be part of the protest. But look, let's get down to brass tacks. American people need to be protected. We need to get the bad actors and the criminal gangs and all these people that have warrants of removal out there. Let's start with that group first, and then let's find the common sense and compassion way to clean up the rest that may have been in this country illegally and just didn't know how to properly do things the right way. There's a common ground here, but resisting is just not going to work this time. The American people voted, and they've said, hey,
how many people been seeing? It's a video that's going around on social media. A lot of people doing reactions to it. Kamala Harris, they said that she put out like a drunken, or they said that she put out some type of drunken response or some type of drunken thanks or some type of drunken message to her subscribers, to her voters, to her supporters. If anybody saw that, let me know if anybody saw that.
Hey, we want to clean this up.
And the American people voted, in the majority of whom believe in law and order in this country. And one of those laws is there's an asylum process, but 90% of the people who come into our country don't qualify for it. And I think if they're scratching their heads, Americans are saying, well, what's the deal? Are there laws and are we following them? One last question for you. South Dakota's Governor Kristi Noem, she's been nominated to replace Alejandro Mayorkas. And then you have Tom Homan, who has a long history in law enforcement and with ICE. What are your thoughts on these two selections?
Well, first I'll start with Tom Homan. I've known and worked with Tom for over almost a dozen years now. I think he is the right person to lead the charge here because especially right out the chute, he's going to get things done. He's not focusing on feelings. He's focused on fixing problems.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider.
All right, so there's that. All right, so now next, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Tom Homan saying that he's willing to jail blue mayors over deportation. Now, hey, listen, it is what it is, right? I don't care about none of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about none of that. It's Terry time, right? Shout out to TD. I don't care about none of that. I ain't got time to Terry, right? Tom Homan ain't got time to Terry. I want to see Brandon Johnson stand up to this. And I want to see what happens to Brandon Johnson. That's the only thing that I want. That's what I'm looking for.
Trump's stricter border policy. Donald Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, was on the border today in Texas. He said he was there to prepare for Trump's stricter border policy, which takes effect on day one of his presidency. Homan also toured the 1,400 acres offered by.
Shout out to Miss Niecy. Miss Niecy said TD Media Group did a video on it today, the Kamala drunken rant. Yo, I gotta check it out. I saw a video about it. It was a couple videos that came across my timeline, and then I saw The Hill did a reaction to it, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, that's wild. I gotta check it out. She need to just go away. How many, if y'all agree, Kamala Harris, just go away. Stop. You know what I'm saying? Just stop talking. Just go away. If y'all think Kamala Harris need to just go away, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, if y'all think she need to stick around, you know what I'm saying, then, put some hearts in the chat.
Texas to build a controversial mass deportation facility for undocumented immigrants. Many blue state governors and mayors have vowed not to cooperate with the Trump administration's deportation policies and might even.
Man, could you imagine? Brandon Johnson gonna be sitting there looking goofy. So stay over there now. Stay over there now. You ain't gonna come up to Chicago and arrest me over here. You ain't gonna arrest me over here. He gonna start doing the windmill punches. Start sounding like Larry Curly and Mo. Whoop, 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 whoop. You know what I'm saying? Doing all that. Nyunk, 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 nyunk. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Even tried to impede them. Here's what he said today.
Let me be clear. There is going to be a mass deportation because we just finished a mass illegal immigration crisis on the border. And I'm sending a message for people that say they're going to get in our way. They're going to stop us from doing what we're doing on interior enforcement operation. I've said 100 times in the last week, don't cross that line.
All right, joining me now, former U.S. Border Patrol Chief Rodney Scott and also immigration activist Carlos Espina. I appreciate both of you for being with me tonight. Rodney, I want to start with you. We heard him talking about mass deportations. I mean, I keep wondering, is that sort of just a buzzword? What does that actually mean? Are they just going to go after criminals? Is this going to be something where we see, like families being pulled out of homes? What is mass?
Now, here goes the thing, right? Let's just put this into perspective. For the most part, right? Because of how laxed the Biden-Harris administration has been for the last 4 years when it comes to immigration, any degree of applying the law could be considered mass because the Biden and Harris administration didn't apply the law at all. As a matter of fact, the Biden and Harris administration enabled people to be able to violate the law. So if you ask me, despite the fact that the word mass is being used, mass is the appropriate word because mass means large. And what we were dealing with was a minute. We were dealing with a minute amount of law enforcement prior to the Trump administration. So if we're dealing with, for the most part, less than 1% law enforcement under a Biden administration, and we go to 100% law enforcement under a Trump administration, despite the fact that applying the law at 100% is not really extreme, it is a massive increase from zero. So I think what we have here with the way that this is being discussed is a quote-unquote scalability issue. If you guys would agree what we got is a scalability issue, then give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree and y'all don't think that we got a scalability issue, then let me know what y'all think the issue is. And shout out to AW1. AW1 says, yo, Rob, you should do a reaction to that Kamala Harris video. Yo, I will. If y'all want to see it, shout out to look, shout out to this young lady right here. I will.
Turn this bitch up!
Swing the remix God!
I'll tear this bitch up! Turn this bitch up! I will! Turn this bitch up! I will! Turn this bitch up! I'll tear this bitch up!
I will. If y'all want me to, throw some radiation emoji in the chat. If we get 10, you know what I'm saying? I'll try to do it tomorrow.
Mass deportations mean?
So the word mass seems to get everybody's attention, but the deportation, the number, it's going to be a very, very large number. You can add the adjective that you want, but we have over 1.3, upwards of 1.4 million illegal aliens with a final order of removal issued by a judge. to adjudicate that, you have to, or to actually keep integrity in the judicial process, you have to take that final step. You have to remove those people. The vast majority are going to be criminals. Those are going to be the people they go after initially. But the difference between the Trump administration and what we've seen in the last administration is law enforcement officers are not going to be forced to ignore illegal activity going on right in front of their face.
No longer
when they go
we'll
to take
deal
out
with
a
it.
target, whoever that individual is, when they encounter other illegal aliens that have an order of removal, they're going to be deported as well. Just by sheer statistics, it is going to be the largest operation that this country's ever seen, because we've never had an illegal alien population, especially even with final orders of removal, this large.
Carlos, in terms of what Rodney was describing as sort of like phase one, people who are criminals, do you have an issue with them finding them and deporting them in terms of that criminal
Shout out to
population?
Adolf. What's good with it, bro?
No, of course not. And I think the vast majority of the people here in this country, citizens, non-citizens, agree with, deporting people who commit crimes. If you drink and drive, if you abuse your spouse, whatever it may be, I'm all in favor for, deporting those people. I think the worry comes when we talk about mass deportations and what we saw in the campaign. It wasn't really limited to that, and there is a lot of, while there is people, that broke the law and came here legally, at the end of the day, they're still here contributing, working, paying taxes. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be any punishment, but, maybe there can be something different. You pay a fine, you pay some sort of other retribution for the actions you've committed without having to go to the extreme of deportation and separating families. And at the end of the day.
Now, here goes the thing, though. You kind of did something extreme and possibly separated your family coming here, right? It's kind of interesting about that, because you might not get caught by ICE, but all of those things in many cases do happen and can happen. But for whatever reason, when it comes to dealing with the consequence of it, we want to control that consequence and kind of make it so that doesn't happen. That's kind of weird, isn't it?
Affecting our communities, because a lot of undocumented immigrants in construction, in farm, in every sector of the economy essentially contribute a lot to this country. And I think that's really where the worry comes in. If we just focus on criminals, okay, I think
her name is Miss Jackson. Oh, Brandon Johnson. We about to start calling Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson about to be BJ 3000. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Never meant to let the migrants in. Never meant to run the budget up. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Every time I look around, I'm about to get jumped by Ray Lopez and Anthony Beal. I knew something was up with Brandon Johnson's head. It's shaped like an AT alien. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's fine. I think the issue is when you start going after hardworking people who are contributing, and that's what gets people worried.
Could it actually come to that, Rodney? I mean, I know a lot was said during the campaign, but you understand the inner workings and the staff and how many people there actually are. I mean, could they actually go into factories, places where people are working who are not criminals, and just say, we're going to figure out who's not here illegally and they have to go right away, regardless of whether they're working or if they have families or whatever?
So let's be clear. Federal law requires that anybody that is in the United States illegally basically be deported. There's a process for it, but that is the law.
Hey, I still be tripping off of these just random spools of razor wire just be sitting out there, man. Look at it. Look, watch this.
We're going to figure out who's not here illegally and they have to go right away, regardless of whether they're working or if they have families or whatever.
So let's be clear. Federal law requires that.
Look at them. It's just spools. It's just spools of razor wire right there. Like, man, that's crazy. That's some true zombie apocalypse stuff, man. Like, that is crazy.
Anybody that is in the United States illegally basically be deported. There's a process for it, but that is the law, period. If you crossed into this country illegally and you're apprehended, you're going to be set up for removal proceedings. And when a judge says that you don't have any reason to stay here, you're going to be deported. There is no protected group of illegal aliens under the Trump administration. There's no protected group of illegal aliens, by the way, under federal law. The last administration carved out some exceptions that were not legal. So I believe the next administration will do the same thing that we did in the past. We'll prioritize our resources to try to go after the worst of the worst, because you just don't have enough resources to go deport everybody every single day. But here's a message. If you're in the United States illegally, it is in your best interest to leave on your own now. If you are arrested and deported, there is a legal bar in law that you will be forbidden from getting any immigration benefits in the United States for a certain amount of time. If you leave on your own without being arrested, there is not a legal bar to applying to come back. But there's nobody that's going to be off the table. That's because that's what federal law says.
Just really quick, we only have a few seconds left, but Carlos, I'm curious, have you heard is anyone actually considering leaving now out of fear of being deported?
Yeah, I think I've seen people talk about, or I've seen, people say, oh, my family member. Now, what percentage of people, what number, I think it's impossible to know, but it's definitely something that's happened before and it's continuing to happen. And I'm sure it will continue to happen. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Rodney Scott, Carlos Espina, I appreciate you both for coming on tonight. Thank you.
All right, so there's that. All right, so again, it's getting very interesting, right? It's getting very interesting. So this is interesting, right? We're going to take a look at everybody's favorite news network, right? MSNBC. Now, let me ask you guys this question. I've heard rumors about MSNBC. I don't know if it's just trolling. I don't know if it's actual factual information or what. But how many people have heard the rumors, quote unquote, that Elon Musk bought MSNBC? Has anybody heard? Has anybody heard that rumor? If you guys have heard that rumor, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not heard that rumor, then give me a thumbs down. I actually heard that rumor. All right. Now, it would be interesting if he did. It would be interesting if he did. My question for you guys would be, how would you look at that? Now, here's how I would look at it, right? This is how I would look at it. I would find it funny, right? And the reason why I would find it funny is because if Elon Musk bought MSNBC, literally nothing happened. Basically, what ends up happening is it went from Democrat state-sanctioned media to conservative state-sanctioned media. So, you got the White House press secretary, the former press secretary, Jen Psaki, she's there, right? And if I'm not mistaken, Pierre, what was her name? Whatever that lady's name is, Jean-Claude Van Damme or whatever, Biden's press secretary currently. She used to work for MSNBC, if I'm not mistaken, right? You got state-sanctioned media on the Fox Rupert Murdoch side, right? Kayleigh McKinney, right? Kayleigh McKinney used to be Trump's press secretary, right? If Elon Musk ends up buying MSNBC, it's going to be, the director of the Department of Efficiency owning the news media. So it'll still be more state-sanctioned media. Now, the very people who talk about how they love Trump and all of this because Trump's not an insider and all of that, you now have the same thing going on. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's something that people should be aware of. A lot of times people be like, oh, yeah, this is a W. It is. It is, but it is, I guess. Is it though? Like, what I'm saying? Or is really the same thing happening, but you just don't realize it because it's happening in your idea of what the favorable situation may be. Who knows? Right? Shout out to Tedra. Tedra said he would fire Rachel Maddow if he did buy it. Rachel Maddow would go crazy. She would go crazy. Shout out to Al McCowan. Al said, you just joined Rumble. Here, I'm about to actually send you the link. Shout out to everybody that's watching. If you're not on Rumble, make sure that you guys take a moment and go join on Rumble. Y'all already know. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to put the link in the chat. All right, so make sure that you hit the like over there and subscribe when you go over there. All right.
Number of Trump allies over the last week. And they see this as this extraordinary moment, an opportunity for him, because it wasn't just MAGA that elected him. It was the majority of Americans. They shifted to the right. And the people I've spoken to say this is a chance for Trump to shift to the center and govern for all Americans. What's the likelihood that'll happen?
I think that presidents who believe they've won sweeping victories, in fact, those that don't believe they've won sweeping victories, figure I got elected after saying all the things that I said, and therefore the voters want me to do everything that I said I would do. And I think you can expect that from Trump.
All right, then, Susan, the best way to tell which way he's headed are his picks. What do you take from the latest ones we've heard tonight? Marco Rubio for Secretary of State.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see the national security piece of it come into view. Obviously, in the first Trump term, there was an enormous amount of turnover on national security, 4 different national security advisors, a very difficult relationship with his first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson. Then he had Mike Pompeo, who Trump said, no more Mike Pompeo in the second term. Rubio is an interesting example of someone who successfully kind of magnified himself after initially being an opponent of Donald Trump's and a critic of Donald Trump's. And I feel like that's now paid off for Rubio. What people might not realize is that Rubio, even in Trump's first term, was an influential behind the scenes foreign policy advisor. I remember doing reporting during Trump's first term, and people, called Rubio the desk officer of the State Department.
How many people remember when Marco Rubio and Alex Jones was about to when they was about to box? Y'all, if y'all remember that, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't remember that, give me a thumbs down.
Department in charge of Latin America. So he already was playing an influential role on foreign policy with Trump for a long time. He's a very big China hawk, and that's what he has in common with Mike Waltz, the incoming national security advisor. Both of them have placed much more emphasis in recent years on the threat from China. One of them called it an existential threat. Rubio is actually banned already from going to China. So that'll be an interesting case study. What do you do with a U.S. Secretary of State who's on the ban list with China?
That's interesting. I did not know that Marco Rubio was banned from China. I didn't know that he was on the ban list from China. How many people knew that Marco Rubio was banned from China? If you guys were aware of that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys were not aware of that, give me a thumbs down. I wonder what he did to get banned from China. Shout out to Telegram. What's good with it, bro?
Will that hold? Will China lift that ban for the American Secretary of State?
And while Mike Waltz, Rubio, and Donald Trump are somewhat in agreement on China, Elon Musk isn't. So it's going to be so interesting to see who's really influencing the former president. Hayes, let's talk about Mike Waltz, a known critic of NATO. He is now going to be Donald Trump's national security advisor, and it is not a Senate-confirmed position. What kind of message does that send to our allies?
That sends a message that Trump is exactly who they thought he was going to be, that he wasn't going to pick someone who is the fact that he.
Now, here's my question. Who is this guy? Who is this fella right here? Does anybody is anybody aware of who this fella is right here? Who is this fella here? I'm not familiar with him. You know what I'm saying? Not, I'm not familiar with the guy, right? But I'm curious as to, who you here? Shout out to Cameron. Cameron said he's Eric Andre. Okay, that sounds familiar. Where do I know that name from? Eric Andre. Is he a popular commentator, a social media influencer?
Chose Rubio, who is sort of in the more traditional GOP vein when it comes to foreign policy Secretary of State, but someone who is more aggressive against NATO, against China, as the person who'll be the last person in the room with Trump on foreign policy. That says a lot, because that's a lot of what the National Security Advisor does. They are the person who has the president's ear first thing in the morning with the national security briefing. They're the last person in the room when he's making decisions. So as influential as the rest of his cabinet is, Waltz will have a lot of say in how decisions get made, or at least how decisions are interpreted.
He's a comedian. Shout out to Cameron. He's a corny comedian. Here's my question. Why do we have comedians on MSNBC analyzing the news? Does anybody got an answer to that? Why do we have comedians on MSNBC analyzing the news? That's kind of weird, isn't it? Kind of counterintuitive. Kind of don't really make a lot of sense. What kind of insight and wisdom can he offer us?
Let's put it that way, because Donald Trump he's known for making his own decisions. Let's put it that way. He does not take advice well. So as we're looking at the various staffers who are coming up, let's keep in mind that Trump will listen to himself first and foremost. And even if Matt Waltz is the last person in the room, Trump is still going to listen to Trump first.
Dave, you heard what Tom Homan said about deporting families together to avoid separating them. I want to share what he said earlier today on Fox News. Watch this.
I've seen some of these Democratic governors say they're going to stand in the way. They're going to make it hard for us. Well, a suggestion: if you're not going to help us, get the hell out of the way. We're going to do it. So if we can't get assistance from New York City, and we may have to double the number of agents we send in New York City, because we're going to do the job. We're going to do the job without you or with you.
All right, David, he's saying, if you're not with me, get the hell out of the way. People voted for Donald Trump in part because they wanted us to get more aggressive on illegal immigration. But do you think the majority of Americans know what we're in for?
Well, we're going to find out. First of all,
let me. I think that, yeah, I think the majority of Americans know what we're in for. And I think that that's more than likely why the majority of Americans voted the way that the majority of Americans voted, right? Because they knew what we were, quote unquote, in for, right? How many people would agree? If you guys would agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. And yeah, facts. I agree with Miss Nisi. Miss Nisi says, in my opinion, a comedian delivering, quote unquote, the news makes as much sense as a mouse pissing on cotton. That's facts. Facts.
We're going to have to see how this plays out, right? I mean, what does the Trump administration do here? If they start out by going after illegal immigrants who are criminals, people that are known to be here illegally, that we believe that the government believes poses a danger, I don't think there's going to be a lot of pushback there. And in fact, over the past few years, until the Biden administration finally used its executive authority to tighten the border back up, there were a lot of complaints from Democratic mayors and Democratic governors that they needed help with the migrants that were, coming into their cities. In many cases, because of being bused from border states by Republican governors, it didn't matter to them one iota. They wanted help. So I think you're going to see a lot of support for that. Once you get past that first wave and you start dealing with families and people start to get a look at what the tactics are, we're just going to see, we're going to have to see how voters react to this. Look, often what voters do is they, in their own mind, and I've talked to voters now for 20 years in every election, they interpret the best case scenario for what they're hearing from the candidate. The candidate says one thing and they interpret it in a way that makes them comfortable because it's a change that they want to make. And then all of a sudden the changes come and they say to themselves, but that's not what I voted for. Well, it is what you voted for. You just chose to listen in a different way. Donald Trump has been very transparent about what he intends to do. So if Americans decide at some point they don't like the deportation policy, it won't be Trump's fault. He will be doing exactly what he said he would do if, in fact, he follows through with this in the way he has campaigned on.
Susan, mass deportation will have an enormous impact on this country. It's going to have an impact on our economy. It should have an impact on employers, right? On all of the people who are employing people who are in this country illegally. Do you think we realize what the impact is going to be?
Yeah, the employers, I want you guys to pay attention to what she just said. She wants people to have sympathy for employers who are employing illegal migrants. Every employer that employs an illegal migrant is taking away a job, a potential job, from a tax-paying legal American citizen, first and foremost, right? Second of all, I find it fascinating that she's worried about the effects on these employers and not worried about how these employers should be prosecuted for breaking the law. Because that's exactly what they're doing, is breaking the law. How many people would agree that employers hiring illegal criminal migrants as part of their staff and workforce is illegal, and those organizations who do that should be prosecuted? If you agree with that or believe that, then give me a thumbs up. If you disagree with that or think that's somehow fundamentally wrong, incorrect, not true, shouldn't be done, then give me a thumbs down.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an important point, that I suspect, in the same way that Trump in 2016 promised a Muslim ban, and then when he started to put it in effect, one of the first weekends of his presidency, basically there was a massive freakout, and the Department of Homeland Security was unprepared to enforce it. Advocates immediately rushed, and lawyers rushed to airports to stop it. Litigation was launched, and there was a big, huge freakout, even though Trump was doing what he had campaigned on. And the scale of the mass deportations that he's promised is far, far, far bigger than anything that he promised to do in 2016. And I think, Donald Trump is, we all know this by now, not a policy wonk, but if there's one thing that he believes is core to his political success, it is at base, it's about immigration. He thinks that's why people voted for him in 2016 and again in 2024. And I believe that he intends to carry this out in a way that will be breathtaking. And remember also that he may move with such speed to establish, in effect, facts on the ground. And it does not seem to me that his opponents right now are organizing themselves or are prepared for what could come very quickly in January.
Hayes, a lot of people did vote for him on the issue of immigration. They weren't happy what was happening in this country. And even the idea, we heard it from voters over and over, even if he doesn't carry out these mass deportations, he's going to be so tough, people will be scared to come to this country. One person who is all in on this plan is Stephen Miller.
I think that people will be scared to come to this country if they're coming illegally. They're going to be scared to come to this country and realize that they're not going to get the same kind of leniency that they got before. I don't think that anybody's going to be quote unquote scared to come to the United States. I think that people that are coming to the United States with shady intentions and had a little bit of false confidence before as a result of the lax, policies of the Biden administration, I think those people might think twice. But I don't think do y'all think that anybody else is going to think twice to coming to the United States? Nobody else is thinking twice coming to the United States. People going to come to the United States if they want to, or people going to not come if they don't want to. Bottom line, most people that's coming to the United States are not coming quote unquote illegally in caravans either. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're using normal means to get to the United States. So again, what they're trying to do is they're trying to normalize a small segment of people, which is what politics does to try to make points. And is why a lot of this stuff just gets so abstract and bizarre. It just comes out not even making sense.
A holdover from the first Trump administration, and really one of the only ones who was there the first time around and is back and bigger than ever. Why do you think he's been able to stay so close? Because he actually shares all of Trump's views?
Because he shares Trump's views and he understands how to sell the worst of Trump's ideas to the people who think that they are critical thinkers. Stephen Miller is one of those people who...
Okay, this is interesting.
Stephen Miller is one of those people who he wants to come across as one of the smartest people in the room. And he's come very far for being only, 40-something right now. The fact that he's returning to the White House as Deputy Chief of Staff of Policy is what he's reported to be. He's going to be someone with his hands on the levers of making sure that things run smoothly through the executive office, through the executive branch. He is someone who takes Trump's worst ideas of, we got to block people who are coming to our country, who aren't from Nordic countries, let's say, who aren't from Northern or Southern Europe even, who are coming from Africa, who are coming from Latin America, and we have to stop them at the borders.
You see what hey, look. He just Pan-Africanized it. How many people saw that? If you guys saw that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not see that, give me a thumbs down. He just Pan-Africanized it. It's unfortunate, brothers and sisters from melanated countries, the global South. Now, this is that stuff right here. This is it right here. This is what people need to pay attention to, because here goes my question, right? Who are the majority of the migrants crossing illegal? Who are they? Let me know who they are. So now, again, this is invoked. So many people have been so reactive on this, right? The MK Ultra, right? He's doing this to get people emotionally involved in it as a result of trying to make an association. It's the quote unquote trauma bonding and all of that stuff. But this guy, he doesn't care. He's trying to, this is monolith maintenance. If you guys would agree that this is monolith maintenance, throw the monolith in the chat. This is what people got to pay very close attention to, because stuff like this has been working and causing people to vote for people like Brandon Johnson forever. This is the stuff that got to stop. As soon as people see it, they got to smoke it out. We ain't, nah. Who is this dude? You know what I'm saying? This dude needs to, get called out on this. He got to come forward. You got to hit the tribunal. You got to explain the intention of your statements. You got to explain how it is that what you're proposing works. And if it doesn't, then you're gone. That's what got to happen. That's what got to happen. Military tribunals. Military tribunals in 2025. If you guys agree, military tribunals in 2025, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a give me a thumbs down. Judge Dredd out here. You know what I'm saying?
There the first time around and is back and bigger than ever. Why do you think he's been able to stay so close? Because he actually shares all of Trump's views?
Because he shares Trump's views and he understands how to sell the worst of Trump's ideas to the people who think that they are critical thinkers. Stephen Miller is one of those people who...
Okay, this is interesting.
Stephen Miller is one of those people who he wants to come across as one of the smartest people in the room. And he's come very far for being only, 40-something right now?
This is a Van Jones brother right here. This is one of the... this is what... this is gonna sound terrible. I feel bad. This is one of those. This is a Black Nathan right here. Now, you know what I'm saying? Now, there's a lot of different kind of Black Nathans, right? And a Black Nathan ain't always bad. You know what I'm saying? But this is a Black Nathan right here. You know what I'm saying? He sounds like Van Jones. And when people sound alike, sometimes similarities can be drawn, right? Sometimes similarities can be drawn. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron said he's soft. That's why he's allowed to keep his hair. He's right. 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 Shout out to PD. He ain't saying Nathan. You ain't saying Nathan. You getting on my nerve. Buster ad blue politicians getting served. Pyru love. Bay. Oh man. Buster ad blue politicians getting served. Pyru love. Oh man, y'all don't know nothing about that, man. What y'all know about that? Y'all don't even know what I'm talking about, man. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That's that hip hop that was too good for the young people. You know what I'm saying?
The fact that he's returning to the White House as Deputy Chief of Staff of Policy is what he's reported to be. He's going to be someone with his hands on the levers of making sure that things run smoothly through the executive office, through the executive branch. He is someone who takes Trump's worst ideas of, we got to block people who are coming to our country, who aren't from Nordic countries, let's say, who aren't from Northern or Southern Europe even, who are coming from Africa, who are coming from Latin America. And we have to stop.
Shout out to Cameron, banging on wax. Facts. Banging on wax. Pyru Love was that cut. That's one of the best Computer Love remixes ever.
Them at the borders. That is something that, when you say it outright like that, is appalling to most people. Stephen Miller's best trait is trying to translate that idea into something when his time as a speechwriter in the first term, translate those ideas into something that the American people can hear and kind of be like, yeah, that makes sense. And that is why he has been able to stick with Trump so long, because Trump knows that Stephen Miller can sell this sort of based anger to the people who will vote for Trump.
Are you concerned that America won't freak out this time, or we won't have the pushback that we had last time? Because we, over the last 6 years, as a country, have grown less and less tolerant of immigrants. And as the climate crisis worsens, and
this is now again, I want you guys to, somebody should ask on the news, and it's interesting how we never get these type of questions. You would have to be like, wait a minute, just stop. Why do you keep calling illegal border crossers immigrants? I think that that's disrespectful to quote unquote immigrants who have immigrated legally. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. So the thing that, if you ask me, one of the things that has to be pressed is the mainstream media, they have to be pressed. People got to start asking this question. Why do you all continue to keep having this conversation and saying these things this way? Shout out to David Brown. What's good with it, bro?
more people are coming from more places. Does it concern you that more and more people don't see it as a humanitarian crisis or don't have the compassion that we did even 4 years ago?
I think so. But then when we get to the scale of what Trump has been talking about, that is what will jar people back into place. Like we were talking a second ago about the way.
I'm curious as to, like, here again, with this kind of situation, with this particular individual, let's discuss this individual here. This individual here as an isolated case. How is he proposing that what he is saying is beneficial to the United States? How is this beneficial to us? How does this improve our situation? Why should we support this instead of not supporting anything or supporting something else? Right. Shout out to Shatira. Shatira says to humanize, but we understand that they're human. Facts. If you guys agree with Shatira, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Major cities were dealing with migrants, calling for help, but they were asking for humanitarian help, not for ICE to come in and sweep the people, many of whom were just here waiting for their asylum hearings, and sweep them and send them back.
Shout out to Cameron. Cameron with it today.
He going along with the fuck shit. Don't touch me! I'm about to change on your ass! I'll beat your ass with my elbows! Werewolf style! Just like a woman. That's because some of you niggas, you be acting just like a woman. Nigga Reaper keep it 1,000.
To where they had come from. That is not what most people hear when explained to people before the election. Like, here's what it would take to carry out those policies. Most Americans said, oh, that's bad. So once we actually ramp up to that point, my hope is that people will wake up and realize, oh, this is what we're talking about, not what I had been hearing before.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of Americans have woke up, and that's why most of them either stayed on the couch or voted for Trump. And I think that the Democrats have a lot. I think that the Democrats have a lot of denial that they're in. I think that the Democrats have a lot of denial that they're in, and they're going to stay in a state of denial because the Democrats definitely are never. They foster a culture of non-accountability. They foster a culture of it's always somebody else's fault. And as you can see currently with their current disappointing historic loss, they still just can't sit down and in an honest breath say why they lost. We all know why they lost. And they tried to stop us from talking about it. Still trying to stop us from talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
One of the top issues for Americans, and it's one that President-elect Donald Trump is promising to crack down on. It's one of the many reasons why more than 76 million people voted for him to return to power, and we are starting to learn more about how exactly he plans on carrying out a mass deportation of undocumented migrants.
On day one, I will seal the border and will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. And if other countries say they won't take them back, we're not going to take them back. I will say that, yeah, here they come. You're just going to hold on to your britches because here they come. They're coming back.
The president-elect has confirmed that he plans to declare a national emergency on border security, and the U.S. military will be deployed to assist deporting illegal immigrants. Authorities estimate that there are around 11 million people illegally living in the United States as we speak, and Trump officials say that they plan on prioritizing those who pose a risk to public safety. They will be deported first. But Democrats say they're going to put up a fight.
We will be playing a lot of defense, I know, over the next couple of years, protecting our communities, particularly our immigrant communities.
Here's Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs speaking on ABC News, trying to make her case in an interview which can only be described as a train wreck.
Would you, as governor, allow state police and National Guard to carry out mass deportations?
We will not be participating in misguided efforts that harm our communities, and I've been incredibly clear about that.
And it gets worse as Katie Hobbs struggles to answer a very simple question.
What would worry you the most, Governor, about mass deportations?
Well, I think the diversion of law enforcement from the work that they do every day to keep our communities safe. People hiding in fear.
Shout out to AW1. AW1 said, yo, Rob, that guy that tried to get your channel banned is now trying to start something with Tariq now. Seriously? Seriously? What did he do? What happened? And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button wherever you're watching from. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says she ain't got no lips. Now, you know, she was actually, for a minute there, she was kind of getting tired of all the migrants coming through. I think where she's in Arizona, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Arizona, right? So, you know, it's interesting, right? Now that Trump won, she's kind of gone all the way back to where she was before with the super, you know what I'm saying, open border type stuff. But she actually wanted those ports of entry closed along the Arizona border, if you guys recall. If you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't remember, give me a thumbs down. There's videos where we talk about her on this channel and on, you know, they might still be up on BLR1. Good luck finding BLR2, but they might be up on BLR1. You know what I'm saying?
That under previous state policies here, and it harms communities. It tears families apart.
Katie Hobbs is getting absolutely slammed for this on social media, many pointing out that this is what the American people voted for. Donald Trump won the battleground state of Arizona by over 5 points. The state has made it clear they want Donald Trump to deliver on his promises. The president-elect has announced Tom Homan as his border czar, who says plans are well underway.
As far as the deportation operation, we will prioritize public safety threats and national security threats because they pose the biggest danger to the United States. Security, he's got 3 rails. So we'll do the deportation operation with the priorities I just talked to you out of the gate. That'd be the priorities. Second thing is secure that border.
Many online are comparing him to the border czar of the Biden administration. See if you notice the difference.
Man, it's over, man. It's over. It's over. They made it like, man, the Democrats got to completely break apart and come up with a completely new identity, man. It's over. They are done. It's done. They are no more. You know what I'm saying? How many people would agree? The Democrats are done. It's over with. They done.
That'd be the priorities. Second thing is secure that border.
Many online are comparing him to the border czar of the Biden administration. See if you notice the difference.
I
got a message to the millions of illegal aliens that Joe Biden's releasing our country in violation of federal law. You better start packing now.
We are in for a big change come January. Donald Trump is continuing to announce key positions. Over the weekend, he went to the UFC with Elon Musk and RFK Jr.
You know, there's this famous saying that says politics is downstream from culture. I think what Trump and Musk and this whole group are proving, at least in this instance, it's in the reverse, and culture is downstream from politics. Everything from his dance move to these photos that they're releasing, and they're having fun at the UFC and flying on jets and all of that. It's interesting because on top, it's layering and packaging something about how that cool factors you're saying and how this team is going to work together, this group of outsiders, on top of the actual policy picks that have made.
They're not outsiders, but we can keep telling ourselves that to make ourselves feel good. What are these people outside of? You know what I'm saying? These people are out. They're outside of what? Besides outside of reality, exactly. Shout out to AW1. AW1 said he did a video on him recently, bro. He's literally done a video on every single black male content creator on YouTube for the most part.
Making a lot of news right now, and I think it's all deliberate with Trump, that he's trying to signal this cohesive team that shares the same vision and having a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about Trump's cabinet appointees in recent days. One of his latest is the new press secretary, the youngest ever at the White House, Carolyn Leavitt. Also, another controversial pick has been RFK Jr. to head the Department of Health and Human Services. What's the reaction, Kosha, been like to these two appointments?
Hold on, man.
Yeah,
can we just take a moment to appreciate Marjorie Taylor Greene's face? She's been eating good, haven't she? Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. She said she stopped hitting the gym. Man, her face is stretched out like one of them coins that get ran over by the train on the railroad tracks. She been eating extra butter on her mashed potatoes without no salt and pepper on them. Man, she better hook that elliptical back up.
These two appointments.
Yeah, I think the reaction to these two, as with all the others, is really like a tale of two cities, tale of two realities. And there's the side, the losers who lost in this election, the Democrats and their allies, are not happy with any of these picks because they are these outsiders, brawlers, come from a different point of view often than the traditional type. And then on the other side, the people that gave Trump the mandate are actually thrilled with these types of picks. For these two in particular, Caroline Leavitt, very young, 27 years old. She was a pretty fierce, fire-breathing spokesperson for him during the campaign, and she would go in and do battle with CNN and MSNBC on a regular basis. So I think she's sort of got her own fandom, and I think the press briefings are going to be spicier this time around because of that. And then RFK, of course, is interesting in terms of his policy positions and what he wants to look at in terms of the food supply and the vaccine.
Now, how many people have heard about the quote unquote fluoride wars that are going on? Because I don't know if anybody has heard about this, but quote unquote fluoride wars have broken out. Now, we will be discussing that at some point, right? And so if you want to, be a part of those discussions, make sure that you are subscribed to BLR C19 report. All right. If one of the mods could put the link to BLR C19 report in the chat, I would greatly appreciate it.
Complex and all of that. But I also think on that symbolic level, the fact that he is this iconic Democrat that supported Trump and now has earned a position in the cabinet is really interesting when people have spent the better part of the last decade framing Trump as this divisive figure. It's just interesting that one of the most iconic Democrats in U.S. history is actually in his cabinet now, potentially.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Coach, I just want to shift to Russia because Russia has targeted Ukraine in a major drone and missile attack. And this comes kind of shortly after Joe Biden greenlit Ukraine's use of long-range missiles against Russia. Do you think these two things are...
Now, here's another question, right? It's funny that they're bringing this Russia situation up because I actually have meant to talk about that. But as you guys know, you know what I'm saying? We got people on YouTube playing games. So I kind of don't have as much flexibility right now as I usually do, right? But the flexibility, it will be back. It will be back soon. All right. But what I want to ask is how many people heard about the situation with was it, I think North Korea sending troops to assist Russia with Ukraine? How many people, if you guys heard about that, then give me a thumbs up. If you did not hear about that, give me a thumbs down. We will be talking about that. But as you guys know, for right now, there's no BLR geopolitics. So if you want to be a part of that discussion, make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel called quote unquote newscast. All right. So make sure you guys are subscribed over there.
It would appear so, and it is interesting that the Biden administration made this move at the 11th hour, with just 2 months left in his presidency. And some would say that it's sort of he's pushing in or packing in a little bit of an escalatory move while he has that time left, because the Trump administration has made no secret of the fact that they're going to go a different way, probably towards a peace settlement of some sort. And I do think that the two things, are linked, and that's probably the most logical conclusion we can draw from what's happened in the last 24 hours.
All right, so there's that. All right. So next, what we're going to do is we are going to talk about, let's see, how the quote unquote military will be used to combat mass immigration. Now, we just heard them say, right? We just heard them say that it's going to be ICE who's doing the mass deportation, right? Shout out to Leonard. I appreciate you, bro. It's going to be ICE who's doing the mass deportations, right? They're going to be coordinating it. So my question then is, how is the military going to do this? What's the military's involvement going to be? How is that going to work? See, you have all of these conflicting stories, right? And we got to get through these conflicting stories to understand exactly what's going on here. Make sure y'all throw some flames in the chat for Leonard. I appreciate it, bro. Make sure y'all hit those links that Leonard is putting in the chat.
President-elect Donald Trump is doubling down on his campaign promise to deport millions of migrants, but Democratic mayors, at least in some cities, are now vowing to fight back. But will it all work? Joining us now to discuss is Mark Morgan, the former acting commissioner of Customs and Border Protection and visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Welcome so much, Mark, as always.
Good morning, Angela.
Good morning. Let's get to this post that Donald Trump put out just a few days ago, seeming to really confirm his plans to declare.
Now, I want you guys. Did you guys catch where he's from? What
emergency?
What think tank is that guy from? What think tank is that guy from? See, this is important. A lot of times, these news organizations and these news agencies, they'll just slip this stuff right through, and a lot of times people won't catch it. But you gotta make sure that you catch it. You got to make sure that you catch it. What think tank is this guy from? He one of them Project 2025 people, right?
President-elect Donald Trump is doubling down on his campaign promise to deport millions of migrants, but Democratic mayors, at least in some cities, are now vowing to fight back. But will it all work? Joining us now to discuss is Mark Morgan, the former acting commissioner of Customs and Border Protection and visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Welcome so much, Mark, as always.
Good morning, Angela.
Good morning. Let's get to this post that Donald Trump put out just a few days ago, seeming to really confirm his plans to declare a national emergency and to use military assets, he says, to deport millions of migrants. At least one Republican we know right now is pushing back on that, and that is Rand Paul.
100% supportive of going after the 15,000 murderers, the 13,000 sexual assault perpetrators, rapists, all these people. Let's send them on their way to prison or back home to another prison. So I would say all points bulletin, all in, but you don't do it with the Army because it's illegal.
Now, obviously, you're the expert on this. When it comes to you don't do it with the Army because it's illegal. What is legal, what's not, Mark?
Yeah, so look, generally, I agree with most of what Senator Rand Paul states on the majority of the issues. Here, I'm going to have to disagree a little bit because I think he misunderstands the application of the United States military. And there's a couple of important things. First, on our physical border, we've been using the United States military for a very long time, both Republican and Democrat-led administrations. In fact, the military is at our border right now as we speak. Secondly, with respect to interior enforcement, the removal operations, once the president declares a national emergency, it does free up additional military funding and resources. And what's very clear, and what I don't think Rand Paul is being fair with his depiction, is how the military is going to be utilized. We're not talking about rolling troops and tanks, into city streets and actually having them arrest individuals. We're talking about the United States military helping with transportation, i.e. aviation assets, as well as providing temporary shelters to be able to process those we've apprehended prior to them being removed. So that's the type of military resources we're talking about, and that is legal.
I think that's important to point out because people have a picture in their minds that people are going to be storming into homes and breaking up families and tearing people apart, but you're saying that's not going to be how the military will be used in the situation.
That's exactly right, Angela. And so we need to take a step back. Remember, we have a law enforcement entity under ICRO that does that every day. And again, the military is going to be used as a support role, more of a logistics support role, like they have been doing for a very long time at our physical border.
Now, we've been telling our viewers all morning just how some Democratic mayors are promising really to fight back on Trump's deportation plans. You have the mayor of Denver saying basically he's prepared in some cases to go to jail in protest of mass deportation efforts, and even encouraging citizens in some cases to kind of push back on this. Now, we've seen this.
Now, I just put that link in the chat. Make sure that you guys take a moment, subscribe to that channel over there, all right? Because there will be content up on that channel. And my question for you guys is, which of these mayors, these quote-unquote progressive, liberal, quote-unquote blue mayors, which of these mayors do you all think is actually willing to go to jail? Who's actually willing to do that time for the migrants? Let me know who y'all think is. I think Brandon Johnson would do it.
In the reverse, we've seen Republican governors in states like Texas pushing back against Biden's mandates or Biden's policies when it comes to the border. Kind of reverse this for our viewers in terms of what we could see Democrats do, and do they have a play against Trump and his policies when it comes to mass deportation?
So there is no play here. The law is very clear. If you're in the country illegally, you will be removed. It's that simple. And think about it. Now we have political elected politicians that they're saying, and we're going to take a step further. We're not just going to not help, which that's their prerogative, but that we have a politician saying we're going to actively resist the federal government from enforcing the law, and they're actually encouraging their citizens to resist.
That was good, Ms.
So not only are they putting themselves in peril of violating federal law, but they're also encouraging their citizens to violate federal law. That's unconscionable. And second to that is, look, the law is very clear. 1324. If anyone impedes the federal government or supports or persists some.
Shout out to Cameron. Cameron said, only the black ones. Yo, if y'all agree with Cameron, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to AW1. AW1 said, "Yo, this dude is really going in on FBA." It's called content strategy, bro. That's what people do. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the reasons why people polarize themselves on certain issues instead of actually talking about stuff objectively. They do what's called content strategy. So what you got to do is, I got to attack this entire concept and make no discrimination of it. And I have to falsely talk to people who are naive to these issues and misdirect them so that they can have a hatred that feeds my audience towards people that I don't know or don't understand. People do the same thing with the red pill. That's just that, you know what I'm saying? People that don't really have a talent to be able to come up with content, or they don't have any witty type commentary or any funny jokes or any type of ability to be able to captivate an audience, they have to do the audience captivation based on emotion instead of actually based on information delivery. Me personally, you know what I'm saying, that individual there, he's already had an invitation. You know what I'm saying? He's in Ohio. You know what I mean? I'm not hard to find. You know what I'm saying? He could come, and whatever needs to be taken care of as far as any type of issue with me goes could be taken care of right on the live stream, right in public. You know what I'm saying? And as you guys know, he's declined that multiple times. So as far as I'm concerned, it ain't really too much. It ain't really too much else I got for that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you know, ain't nothing else I can really say on that, because, you know, you make a lot of the dude. If you making false claims about somebody, the claims ain't true. If your audience is that stupid, they don't want to go and investigate the claims to see that the claims are false, then shout out to you. You just got yourself an audience. They want to listen to you, right? So go ahead and talk to your audience. And, you know, as far as me goes, hey, you know, you got a problem with me, well, you know, come handle me then. You know what I'm saying? The invitation is there. You know what I'm saying? No visits yet. No phone calls yet. No, you know what I'm saying, getting blown down on or nothing like that yet. No, none of that. So as far as I'm concerned, that I ain't got nothing else. There's nothing else I could say. It's nothing else I could do. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he gonna say what he say. He gonna do what he do. Ain't got shit to do with me. You know what I'm saying? He can, you know what I'm saying, do what he do. You know, I'm about the action. So, you know, if you really got a problem, or if it's really deep like that, or you really think you're gonna come and do something, you know what I'm saying, that's really all you should be talking about. You know what I'm saying? That's really all you should be talking about. But it's not. And the reason, and I'm gonna tell you something too. In most cases, when people got an issue with somebody, most people gonna just take up an issue with that one individual. You're not gonna create a army of like 20 people that you going after, right? You're coming after all these people. And then you got to go out into the public where you got all these people after you. No one in their right mind is actually going to do that. You know what I'm saying? So just the fact that you're moving like that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can size a lot of these people up, and a lot of these people on YouTube, they're so naive to street life. They're so naive to common sense. They're so naive to just the reality of how things work. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't take me much to be able to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, I've been around the block, man. I'm a around the way boy. You know what I'm saying? I know what it is. And, you know, you see the hot air. It is what it is. That's the kind of thing you just kind of sit back and wait. And, you know, one of these days, you know, you'll pass them by or something like that. And then when you pass them by, that's when, you know, you kind of, you know, hey, you know what I'm saying? What's up with that? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You know, so, you know, let people play with the protection. To me, when you got the protection of the internet and you talking crazy, I don't really, you know, like, I mean, that ain't impressive. It's impressive to the internet culture. You know what I'm saying? But it's not really impressive to, you know what I'm saying? It's not gonna be enough to stop me from doing something that I'm doing. Now, you know, you want to impress me, you know what I'm saying? You know, tap me on the shoulder while I'm at Walmart or something. You know what I'm saying? Walk up to me while I'm pumping gas in my car. You know what I'm saying? But if you're not doing that, you ain't really doing nothing, and I can't waste my time with it. You know what I'm saying?
Someone that's in the country illegally, that's a federal crime, and they will be prosecuted, I believe, under this administration. The second part of that, Angela, think about this from a common sense perspective. You have politicians that's trying to claim that they're protecting American citizens or the citizens of their city by
now what's interesting about that, like we actually should break this down, right? Is because like the people who don't like Black Americans, I heard a video, right? They saying that all Black Americans went in on Roland Martin. All Black Americans went in on Roland Martin for getting the $300,000 check. I'm pretty sure I didn't go in on Roland Martin for getting the $300,000 check, because getting the check is one of the few things that Roland Martin does that I don't disagree with. Get the damn check. But just don't lie to people. You know what I'm saying? But get the damn check. But I don't think Roland Martin lied about the check, though. I'm pretty sure when all the comments and stuff start coming out about the check, Roland Martin was like, yeah, I got a check. I got paid. They paid my company. I don't think he hid that from anybody. You know what I'm saying? My thing is that all the people that's like, quote unquote, you know, they banging for Trump and all that, they did it for free. I ain't banging for nobody. I'm banging for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on none of these people's payroll. You know what I'm saying? At all. And I never will be. But if you gonna bang for somebody, though, at least get the benefits of banging. Roland Martin got that $300,000 from Kamala Harris for banging for the Democrats, and he banged for the Democrats. He did that. I mean, he been banging for the Democrats, right? I mean, I ain't trying to be funny, but the way he worked for the Democrats, he should be getting a paycheck, because if he don't, anything other than that is slave labor, right? My question is, why didn't the people that banged for Trump get a paycheck? Why didn't they ask for a paycheck? Nobody. I don't think anybody told them to work for free. Nobody. I know I wouldn't have. Sometimes I just be wondering. But then, see, the thing is, though, right? Remember, it's content strategy, right? So I might have my position on that, right? Like, you know, hey, get the money. Just be transparent with it, right? Other people might say other things. Like, I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm not gonna go in on a particular individual, Roland Martin or whoever it might be, simply because Tariq Nasheed and Professor Black Truth and Jason Black don't like them people. Any issue that I got with somebody is specifically because I got an issue with somebody, not because anybody else said they got an issue with them or because they told me to have an issue with them or none of that. I don't do none of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. Me personally, you know, people got a problem with Roland Martin getting the money. I got a problem with Roland Martin's get down. I don't have a problem with Roland Martin getting the money. I got a problem with Roland Martin's get down. I don't have a problem with no black man getting no money. You know what I'm saying? At all. You know what I'm saying? However, I got a problem with the get down, and the problem with how he's getting the money in many cases, not all cases, but in many cases, is because of the get down. However, if you got paid to promote the Democrats and you promoted the Democrats and then you got paid, I don't understand. I don't get the problem with that. I don't see where, like, I don't understand, like, the big smoke with that. Right. But regardless of me not seeing the big smoke with that or not, that's not even any type of content that I decided to touch. But simply because I'm a Black American, right? The content strategy of people that don't like Black Americans is anybody that's a xenophobic Black American, FBA Freeman, ADOS, you know what I'm saying? They said all of this and said all of that. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. We all didn't, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's it's content strategy. And what people got to understand is that most people that say the stuff that they say on YouTube, most people that believe the things that they believe, It's all content strategy. The content creators that y'all be listening to, they don't even believe these extreme positions they be taking. I agree. Shout out to that. If y'all agree with Tedra, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. That's exactly what I said. He should, as much tap dancing as he does for the Democrats, he should have got more. At the amount of tap dancing that he does with that $300,000, because he didn't even get paid $1 million like some people got paid. You know what I'm saying? He had to be working for like $2 an hour. But here go the bigger problem that I have an issue with. What I don't understand is I don't understand why people don't have an issue with Tim Pool. I don't understand why people don't have an issue with Turning Point USA. I don't understand why people don't have an issue with the Heritage Foundation or Elon Musk even. You know what I'm saying? If roly-poly is roly-poly and the BBBBB and all this shit and the, you know what I'm saying, all that, right? Which he is, right? And I'll take that away from him. But I don't understand why when there's a big threat like Elon Musk or a big threat, you know, like Rupert Murdoch or something like that, which I've been talking about Rupert Murdoch forever. Roland Martin and his little $300,000 empire, that's what everybody got to have the bayonets pointed at. I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, like, it's just, I get it. Roland Martin, yes, needs to be discussed. You know what I'm saying? If he has some contradictions, he needs to be pointed out as far as those contradictions. But at the end of the day, let's just say, for instance, like Roland Martin YouTube channel is going tomorrow, like how mine is, right? Twitter's still there. You know what I'm saying? The End Wokeness Twitter account has more subscribers than most black content creators, including Roland Martin, all combined on YouTube. Libs of TikTok. You know what I'm saying? I saw Alex Jones live on Twitter one time. He had 2 million subscribers. Look at the Joe Rogan podcast interview that had Trump on it. It had like what, 44 million views? Probably more than that by now. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, right? Like, if you walk in a room of people, and you got shout out to Win Loser Rug. You got the Joker in there, you got Lex Luthor in there, you know what I'm saying? You got Darkseid in there, you got Brainiac in there, you got Sinestro in there, and then you be like, excuse me real quick, I gotta go talk shit to the Penguin. I'm sorry, me personally, like, I don't respect that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry. I don't respect that. You walked in that room with all them in there, and you went over to go try to intimidate the Penguin. Hey, that ain't me. That's not how I've ever had to build on top of anything in my life. In my life, building on top of everything, I had to take out King Koopa anytime I went somewhere. I didn't just go and hold up a trophy, you know what I'm saying, for taking out a Goomba or for taking out, you know, a Koopa Trooper. That ain't really how that worked. I mean, at least, you know what I'm saying, the Hammer Brothers or something, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, again, like, it just, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Roland Martin do need to, you know what I'm saying? He needs to, you know what I'm saying, be dealt with in certain ways with certain nonsense that he be doing. But I think that there's higher priority issues. But the problem when you dealing with YouTube and social media is you got the content strategy approach. And with the content strategy approach, you got to be polarized to appeal to your audience, because you're going to have one part of your audience that's only going to listen to things that support their emotional validation. And then you got the other part of your audience who's just not, if it's not consistent with people that that they consider you associated with, they're not going to listen. They're not going to pay attention. You know what I'm saying? So as far as that dude goes, he's been a dude that's tried to group me into like this type of category that I'm not in, just for his own personal amusement. And because, you know, he might want to see me have some type of tiff or some type of back and forth with somebody that he might like for his own entertainment. I don't do no back and forth with people for nobody else's entertainment. I don't do that. I don't do anything except for create informative YouTube content for people's entertainment. You know what I'm saying? If I'm having a back and forth, quote unquote, or a tiff with somebody, I'm having a back and forth and a tiff over you to show the inconsistencies in your idea. It ain't never gonna be just because, like, oh, you know, I'm about to go. I'm not doing. I don't have time for that. I don't do that in the real world. If I got into a disagreement with somebody in the real world, I'm not about to even stand there and continue to keep, you know what I'm saying, going back and forth. You know what I'm saying? We either gonna agree to disagree respectfully and keep it pushing, or we gonna agree to disagree disrespectfully, and then other things might happen. But I'm not doing all that. So, you know what I'm saying? As far as that go, like with people making videos and doing all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? They just wasting their breath. As far as it goes with me, you know what I'm saying? And then again, like I said, you know, don't expect me to have the same stance or the same opinion, you know what I'm saying, as other people, simply because of who they are or who they might be, or subscriber supremacy. Shout out to Ty City and all of that, right? Because I don't care about none of that. I don't care about no type of YouTube credentials. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about those. To me, honestly, it's the only YouTube credentials that you get is the plaques that YouTube sends you, or whatever type of community guideline issues that you might have. Because on YouTube is the only ones that enforces anything, despite people's beliefs or delusions that they might live in. Make no mistake, if you're on YouTube, unless you own part of YouTube, you have no power. You're not issuing any accountability by making videos about people. You're not getting anybody together. You're not changing anybody's behavior. You're not changing the world. You're not doing nothing. You're just making videos. That's it. So, you know what I'm saying? As far as like when people talk about the YouTube credentials and, you know what I'm saying? I don't like, I mean, what? Am I supposed to hold the door open for you? I'm supposed to take my jacket off and, you know what I'm saying, throw it over a puddle so you can walk over it? But I ain't doing none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't doing none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm a grown ass man. If somebody ain't doing that shit for me, I'm definitely not doing it for them. And that's just normal. This ain't no fraternity. You know what I'm saying? This ain't no, you know, I'm about to pledge an alliance. This ain't none of that shit. People need to for real, make sure that they separate real life from YouTube. Don't get shit twisted. You know what I'm saying? Please don't get shit twisted. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, though, aside from the rant, right? He should have absolutely gotten more for all the tap dancing he was doing. He should have gotten at least $1 million. Shout out to Kid Gravity. Kid Gravity had just put something in the Discord about Al Sharpton getting some money. Hey, get the money, right? But at the same time, stop being disingenuous, though. Stop being disingenuous. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Win Loser Rug. Win Loser Rug said, and further reach, bro, facts. Win Loser Rug said, if it's not in line with the popular zeitgeist, then it's an uphill battle. Not worth it. Facts. Shout out to Miss Nisi. Miss Nisi said, nosy question, Rob, what is your age? I have 500 candles on my birthday cake. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just kidding. I'm 44.
Federal law enforcement. Well, the opposite's going to happen. They're actually going to try to protect someone that's in the country illegally that's committed another crime. They're going to protect the criminals and allow them to be released back to their city rather than work with law enforcement to remove them. It's absurd. It makes no sense and actually jeopardizes the safety of the citizens in their state.
And quickly, before we leave, we're talking about 1,500 migrants formed a caravan in southern Mexico, hoping to cross the U.S. before the inauguration. What do you know on that? Do you think that could be stopped? What's the deal here? We're looking at some video, apparently.
Yeah, this is not surprising to us. We see this every time a president either comes in with strong border security rhetoric or weak border security rhetoric. The migrants and the cartels react. So right now, the cartels, the facilitators of these mass caravans are telling the migrants, now's the time. Trump's going to come in, he's going to secure it, so you have a short window to get here. That's what's causing these caravans. The question you ask is really unknown, is what is Mexico going to do? Are they going to stop it? Are they going to facilitate it? That's yet to be seen.
All right, former acting commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, visiting fellow Mark Morgan. Happy Thanksgiving, Mark.
Yeah, and this time I'm going to go with you. Go Lions.
Yes.
Hey, you see how he didn't tell her happy Thanksgiving back? How many of y'all caught that? He didn't tell her happy Thanksgiving back. Now, let me ask y'all this. We about to do this, right? Because remember, we got the new thing. We got the new thing. Who's holding the crowbar, right? Who's holding the crowbar? So we about to ask this. We about to ask more questions. Who do y'all think is more problematic? The Heritage Foundation or Roland Martin? Let me know in the comment section.
I see the outcome of the election not as an affirmation of Donald Trump and his MAGA agenda. It was a rejection of a status quo that had come to be defined by inflation and the migrant crisis. We would have won the election were it not for those structural realities of inflation and the migrant crisis.
Democrats having some frank talk, including.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you guys agree with what he said? The Democrats would have won if it wasn't for the economy and the migrant crisis. If you guys agree, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down.
Putting in public about why they lost the election. Richie Torres there basically pointed to two big macro factors, economy and immigration, while also urging his party to think anew and not just do the exact same thing over again. Take a look at New York, which many people think of as quite blue.
Now, and shout out to AW1. AW1, you still in here? Now, check this out, right? This is what's funny. So on my BLR1 channel, right? Now, the dude that you talking about that makes the videos, right? He made the video. He made the video about me. This dude he steals my concepts and steals my content and steals my talking points, right? And I'm gonna tell you exactly why. How many people remember that live stream that I did on BLR1, and it was called Philip Scott and the Hodge twins say some of the same things, yet they just made videos about each other. Do y'all remember that? If y'all remember that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys do not remember that, give me a thumbs down. So I don't want to hear nobody. I don't want to hear nobody acting like they running around, saying stuff, pointing out inconsistencies, talking about all this. You know what I'm saying? When you late to the party, right? You late to the party. I've been asked that question. So again, a lot of these dudes are anti-Black American dudes. But in order to maintain the narrative, they got to put all Black Americans into one category. And if you, hey, listen, and if you want to put all Black Americans into one category, hey, that's cool. But just understand, you know what I'm saying? I might have an issue with a talking point or something like that. But bro, if you talking crazy about Black Americans, bro, you know what I'm saying? I'm banging for Black Americans. So, you know, I might just have to, if it's somebody that I got a little ideological issue with, I might have to set that ideological issue aside for a second. You know what I'm saying? And I might just have to be the pinch hitter. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to put the ideological issue down for a second and be like, wait a minute, let me put this down and pick this up and go deal with this over here. I told you guys, the dudes that call everybody else agents, they're the agents. You just now noticed certain inconsistencies about certain things or certain pivots that people are making. You just now noticed that, bro. I was asking them questions 2-3 years ago, man. Catch up, man. Stay on the track. Stop letting people lap you like that. Then what did I tell you guys? I told you guys about these people gaslighting Kamala Harris, right? Everything that, oh, she ain't doing nothing wrong. She ain't doing nothing wrong. Hey, the people that saying she ain't doing nothing wrong, they want her campaign to tank. Did I say that? Shout out to Caldona. What's good with it, Cal? If I said that, give me a thumbs up. If I didn't, give me a thumbs down. Look what happened. The campaign tanked. The only way somebody can try to negatively affect my reputation or to negatively affect any type of consistency with anything with my message is to do stuff like get my interview with Hotep Jesus taken down. That's the only thing people can do. And I don't even know why they even try that, because it's all backed up on Rumble. It ain't go nowhere. How many times did I tell y'all death is outdated? It ain't go nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, right? I'm not saying I got a problem with Philip Scott, right? I'm not saying I got a problem with Philip Scott at all. You know what I'm saying? Philip Scott got a purpose. He do his thing. He talked to a big audience. You know what I'm saying? Right? But I asked the question, like, you know, him and the Hodge twins, they say a lot of similar stuff. And somehow, you know what I'm saying, they got a video, the Hodge twins reacting to Philip Scott on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and then, you know, Philip Scott reacted back to it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of, you know, that's kind of what could y'all have an issue about? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of interesting. Y'all seem like y'all on the same page on a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's all. We just asked the question throughout, right? But now, you know what I'm saying, the political detectives are here. You know what I'm saying? The political detectives that's 2-3 years late to the case is here to break it all down for everybody. Just pay attention, man. Pay attention, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't get Pepsi when you got Coca-Cola right here. You know what I'm saying?
Harris still won the state, but did worse, as you see here, against Trump than Biden. The idea that Donald Trump roared back.
Shout out to AW1. AW1 said, yo, Rob, why did they take down your interview? Bro, I'm telling you, for the very reason that I just said. For the very reason that I just said. Shout out to Ricky. Ricky said Philip Scott goes back and forth with Africanism. He relapses so bad. Look, you know, Philip Scott has set up a successful network on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I agree with some things that he says and does. I disagree with other things that he says and does. I ain't got no beef with Philip Scott. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no beef with Philip Scott. I'm not like Amazing Lucas. You know what I'm saying? I don't think because Philip Scott has a bigger audience than me, Philip Scott needs to be attacked. You know what I'm saying? I'm not Amazing Lucas. I'm not a guy that's upset that I dropped the bag, you know what I'm saying, when I was a Trump supporter. And then I tried to, you know, talk to other people that I thought I was going to be able to make the difference up with. And then it's not really making me money all like that. So now I got to kind of do another content strategy switch to try to go in on these people because I have less of an audience and I'm making less money. I don't think like that. That's not how I think. You know what I'm saying? Just because I got ideological differences with TD. TD's still my man though. You know what I'm saying? You know. I got ideological issues. I got ideological differences with TD. TD's still my man though. TD got a bigger audience than me. Torian got a bigger audience than me. There's people out there that got bigger audiences than me. I don't believe that I'm deserving of those people's quote unquote audiences. So they deserve to be attacked because I feel that I deserve what they have. I don't operate like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't operate like that. I also don't operate on I'm going to have flexible positions and switch positions so that I can appeal and appease to more people. I'm not here to appeal and appease to people. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm here for. Some people are, and you know what I'm saying? And shout out to them, and they do it well, right? But that's not what I'm here for, though. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting to me how people can trust people like that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, as you see, right? As you see, they do. They do. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's all interesting. But one thing that I can tell you with me is that I'm going to always try to give an accurate information-based perspective on whatever kind of discussion that it is that I'm having. I'm not going to try to play to people's emotions. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you, Miss Niecy. And another thing too, you know, I don't be out here trying to throw shade on people. You know what I'm saying? I don't be out here trying to throw shade on people. Questioning inconsistencies or asking questions is not throwing shade on people. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people that are used to having a dictatorship, or they used to being the boss, or they used to being the big dog on campus, they used to everybody just swimming in the direction that they get told to swim in. And I don't swim in the if I happen to be going the same direction as you, yeah, we might swim in the same direction. But if I'm going a different way, you know what I'm saying? Hey, it is what it is. I gotta go where I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? And me personally, what I would like for more people to be like that. Because I think if more people were like that, it would hold people to a higher standard of everything, a higher standard of integrity. You know what I'm saying? A higher standard of expectations, a higher standard of information, just a better overall environment. But it's a long process. But we got time, though. We got time.
Back to 44% in blue New York is pretty striking. At the same time, 600,000 New Yorkers who were part of that Biden margin, you see, they stayed home this month. Trump also won Nassau County.
They stayed home. This is the faint talk that they do, right, about the couch. And we gonna come back to that, right? We're gonna come back to that. But right now, your boy got a dip. I might be able to put something together for tomorrow morning, because I do actually want to try to finish this up and get into some of this crypto. So we'll see. All right. So shout out to everybody, man. I really appreciate y'all being here. All right. Make sure y'all show some love. We had 6 stream sponsors. Definitely appreciate y'all. You know, y'all help more than ever now that YouTube stole my entire paycheck from my one channel, but it is what it is. All right. Shout out to my man DSB. Definitely appreciate you, bro. Shout out to Hurricane IQ. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to my man John Guillory. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to Miss Niecy. Make sure y'all show Miss Niecy some love. Shout out to John Guillory. Got to hit my man John Guillory with the again. And shout out to my man AB Promotions. I definitely appreciate it. All right. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,